Last chance for a cup of coffee. We'll begin in 1 minute. 1 minute. Well, let's get started. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I see some hands up. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We have a day that's a bit more casual by nature of where we are. And as you looked at your in-service agenda for today, we will be in this cafeteria pretty much all day, with the exception of some division work time later in the day. But just want to bring you up to speed on obviously a number of things that are emerging and have emerged across fall semester in academic and in student affairs. I think have had a great semester behind us. I will bring up some of the highlights of that semester in a moment. But again, this is going to be a more informal time because of where we are here in the cafeteria. And so as you do need that extra cup of coffee, I would say we'll play by adult rules and just go for it. But again, welcome to spring semester, and I'll kind of reach over from time to time and flip the slides here. Want to give you, in the few minutes that we have right now, a sense of where we've been and also where we're going in academic and student affairs here at Central Lakes. Before we do get far along, though, Jane Burkholz is now with us on board as our Dean of Student Success, and I'd like to invite Jane up to not only greet you, but perhaps share a word. There she is. Jane, come on up, and welcome.
Good morning, folks. David had asked if I would share a few remarks with folks this morning, and I just looked at him because I'm a Burkholz by nature, and Burkholzes by nature tend to have a lot to say, so I said, do you really know what you're asking? But I do want to share a few things with you, and I want you to know that I am particularly pleased to be here today. This is my first full day, and I'm interested in knowing how many of you are faculty. Please just show of hands. Lots of faculty. A couple things. It's always fun being the new person because you get away with lots of things that you don't ordinarily get away with as a new person. But starting out in my time here, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions, and I'm particularly interested in what you as faculty have to say. Because in my experience, this is what I've learned. Institutions that use faculty, administrators, student service staff to work on enrollment issues tend to be the most successful. We all bring our various perspectives to that equation. You tend to know your students, you tend to know your programs. And one of the things, as a new person, I like to ask is, because, things do change over time as I look at the cameras that I think are going to be streaming information to perhaps around the world, I don't know, but is what we're doing with our programs and services clear to those for whom we are trying to serve? So what does all that mean, you may ask? It's that as we get busy in creating and building our programs and looking at needs, are we connecting effectively with our stakeholders and those who need us the most? I got an example for you, and I won't be long, I promise, Dave. What do high school students and adults returning to the workforce or looking to change their lives have in common? At first blush, it looks like those are fairly discrete groups of people with different life experiences, maybe even different goals and objectives, who knows? But one thing I've learned in being in enrollment management is that I'm going to phrase it this way. What do folks do, what do students do, what do human beings do when they don't know what exactly to do to achieve the next step? What do they do? Nothing. So one of the things, especially as I looked at the agenda today, and one of the messages I especially wanted to give faculty is this. Are we indeed creating program pathways that support the goals and objectives we have identified for students to achieve? And how does that fit with what we are telling those students in terms of what are the next steps in that process? How can we help them start? How can we help them move to the next step? And how we can help them persist? Most of the time when schools look at their data, they see that we lose students over time. That to me is symptomatic of students aren't sure what to do next. That's a simplistic view, I know. But I think it's one worth looking at in today's age of higher education where options for students are confusing. How can we best help identify, communicate, and streamline? This is what you can expect if this is the path you follow. So that is my food for thought for today. I want you to know my office door is always open. I'm interested in the faculty perspective because I'm not an academic, and I've found that it has really enriched my perspective on what we're doing in regard to students. So with that, I think Dave is waving for me. My time is up. Thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. We would look forward to working with you, getting to know you. And I understand, as Jane mentioned yesterday, that her house in Ohio has been sold. A house in the Brainerd area has been purchased, and there's a coordination of closing dates on both of those transactions, and we're delighted that that's all falling into place for her. I want to take some time to look back. Yesterday, in President Lundblad's presentation, he gave us some big picture numbers, the grant dollars, if you will, that the college received, exceeding or very close to about $2 million. But I'm going to drill down a little bit deeper, maybe getting not into the weeds, I hope, but very close to the street level in terms of some of the action that has been accomplished in student affairs. So as you look at where we've been, I'm going to pull this mic out of here, and I apologize a little bit for my voice. Last weekend it was laryngitis. Right now it's the hopefully the final phase of it working itself through. But in student affairs here at Central Lakes, a number of accomplishments, and I want to focus on these for you. The DASH grant was received. That's, as you see it, for emergency dollars for students. With collaboration with the Initiative Foundation, that we received the notice of the Delta Dental Award, which would be for $90,000, and obviously noted here to increase our enrollment as it relates to students of color in that dental field. Mary and Adam were invited to serve on one of the MINSCU retention task forces, and it's great for us as a college to be represented in these system office conversations, so we're thankful for that. Also, you'll see the facilitation of training that was directed toward our criminal justice law enforcement students. We received a diversity grant from the system, and obviously, as it references there, for Ojibwe language revitalization, and first course taught here at Central Lakes in many years, so we're delighted for that. And then, of course, for those of you who had the fun of being in the audience, as I was, for the powwow that was before Christmas, that was great, and as well as the Why Treaties Matter exhibit, which would have been, of course, just behind the screen. So some great activities and some great accomplishments in student affairs. Going on even further in terms of what was accomplished, Nick and his team developed a customer relations management system for new students. It's been very helpful in terms of tracking where students are. We reorganized our new student registration sessions, rolled out a new electronic student system for our CIS partners, making it easier for those partners to engage with us and work with the students that we both share, as CIS students are. Advising services were reorganized, as noted here, so that we have program-specific advisors, a pretty key move for us. Financial aid staff, here's some highlights from their world, made over 200 calls of students that were approaching default and helping them with questions. You're going to hear more as we move forward in this coming semester about this, but the Office of Higher Education has an occupational grant program for students that will be for selected career and technical programs, and that will be a tuition-free program for many of them. So you'll hear more about that, and financial aid playing an early role in that as well as a continuing role. The award notification process modified. Mike and Crystal invited, again, as others have been, to serve on system-wide development initiatives, and then also importantly too, and with thanks to Mary Sam, moving towards a restorative justice model as it relates to student discipline. And Mary spoke a little bit about that yesterday. Bottom line, tremendous hard work that's been done on the student affairs side. For those of you that had a chance to look yesterday when President Lundblad referenced it, but at the college's organizational chart, you can see on the student affairs side of the house all of the different functions and the supervisors that were involved, and some tremendous staff work that's been done. And I know I've served as faculty, and sometimes at the faculty level, you just really don't have a sense for what's happening, sometimes what looks to be behind the scenes, or what happens when you're not present. And so that's really what's happening on the student affairs side, and we really thank them for the tremendous work that was accomplished. Academic affairs, what about our work in that particular domain? And again, let me give you some highlights. On the engagement side with our high school partners, our Bridges Career Camp that was held at Camp Chaminade had nearly 80 students present, a really high energy event. For 15-16, we launched our e-college courses to our high school partners. The CLC Career Fair that was held in Brainerd had 500 students attending. And then we had some very intentional outreach efforts, marketing efforts with our CIS and PSEO students. You may have seen the new handbook that was distributed, a very nice and very slick-looking piece. Newsletters, welcome letters, and all of these communications pieces. We went through in October the HLC multi-location site visit. that were required. As you might know, HLC every 5 years comes out and looks at colleges that have multiple locations. We had an HLC reviewer here and going through locations, which were, of course, for us. Those high schools went through 5 of those particular settings, and the reviewers' comments came back very positive for us. We're thankful for the advanced work that was done on that, and Betsy and Paul Primesberger played a key role in facilitating that event. More recently, as it related to in November and I think early in December, we had 5 regional visits with our local high schools and meeting with superintendents and principals, talking about HLC's requirements as it relates to faculty credentialing. And so those were successful visits, and as President Lundblad had mentioned yesterday, very insightful in terms of some of the observations made as well as some of the strategies proposed by our partnering high schools. You're going to hear more about the OER, Open Ed resources, and our Shark Tank proposals. I won't get into too much of that, but those proposals were authored. I'm encouraged with and optimistic that those grants will come through. And then I referenced the $110,000 in Initiative Foundation grants. Of course, that 90 that was mentioned for Delta Dental is part of this, but also the SBDC and the AIM grant were recipients of some of those dollars. And then also we had in the fall semester the text that President Lundblad had referenced for us on our in-service duty days back in August, and it was this particular text. And 2 of the faculty spark plugs in that conversation would be Dave Kabilka and Karen Pakula. And so we thank those 2 faculty members specifically, and then, of course, other staff and faculty who cycled in and out of those conversations. But I believe some really fun as well as engaging work that we were able to do together. Also moving forward in the academic affairs side of the house on the OER initiative that Martha helped launch for fall semester, 15 faculty members reviewed an OER resource for possible adoption in a course that they teach. Our Student Success Day, referencing here, was super successful, and we thank the engagement of faculty that were leading on this particular initiative. Homecoming returned after an absence of several years. Cultural Thursdays, we thank the facilitation of that initiative. The Nitro X grant was received that will focus on a transportation summer camp. And as we look at that particular initiative, I have to flash back and say, well, Chris Hadfield is not with us. He left us in fall semester. Chris is now the director of the Minskew Transportation Center of Excellence. And with Chris's leadership, we anticipate a continuing involvement in the transportation area. And, of course, this Nitro X grant is one of those larger Minskew Transportation Center initiatives. So we're obviously going to be seeing Chris in a number of ways as we move forward, not only this semester, but in the semesters ahead. The theater department produced 2 productions, as noted here, and hosted a number of the cultural arts events, both on and off campus. Here's a celebration point, the check mark here, the last day of attendance report. You may remember that this was a concern for us because as we did not report that last day of a student's attendance, frequently there was additional financial aid disbursements made and other dollars that went to students that were not here. And the feds pay attention to all of this and want those dollars back. And so this was a cost to us of several $100,000 a year. I'm not sure exactly what our savings was as it related to this past fall semester, but we're in much better shape than we were in prior semesters. So my thanks to each of you who paid much closer attention to when students were with you or when they were no longer attending, because it made a difference as you were reporting on that. And of course, Adam, we thank you, and we celebrate your nomination and as our Educator of the Year at Central Lake. So a round of applause for Adam. And congratulations. You know, as we again look at this organizational chart, and if you want to look at the academic affairs columns on this particular chart, again, just some tremendous hard work. I can say with full confidence that as the deans and directors groups have met across not only the fall semester, but in the prior year as well, we have a really good team. We have a team that can challenge one another. We have a team that brings a faculty perspective. We have a team that brings up administrative perspective. We have a team that's not afraid to, in a good and productive way, challenge back and forth. And I think it's been very healthy for us. And as a college, that particular team deserves a great deal of thanks. And so it's been a great thrill for me to not only have been engaged with them across the prior school year and this fall semester, but also I look forward to continuing on. And President Lundblad, thank you for your support for me as well. I appreciate that. And a bit of a stressor, I know, and I'm going to put it up here as one of our bodies of work for fall semester. As we looked at, of course, this whole body of work, this program analysis and prioritization effort, we followed a template, if you will, that other colleges had used before, specifically and most closely, though not in full alignment, but most closely to a template, if you will, for this process that had been developed at Minneapolis Community and Technical. And we followed a process that had basically 6 component steps to it. And as you recall, we worked through that process. And there were some results that I want to point to here, because I think that sometimes we say, okay, we went through all this work, and what really happened? Or did anything happen? Or we've heard about one program, but what really happened in the larger sense? Well, I would say that there's several key results, but the two that come immediately to my mind is the increased dialogue between faculty and deans. That engagement was obviously essential to this process, and hopefully opened up a channel for communication in some very challenging ways and hopefully ways that were helpful to the larger work of the college. And then the second area there, in terms of looking at course and program closures, the AASC has been very busy, especially in the latter months of fall semester, working through closures. We note 32 courses that have been brought to AASC for closure. I anticipate there will be more. And faculty also brought forward 4 program closures of programs that, because of either not offering courses or the lack of demand for programs, had brought 4 programs forward. And we anticipate that there will be, obviously, as noted there, more curriculum changes as we proceed forward. So it was a stressful process. I give you that. But thanks for the work that was engaged in that, whether it was in the review of the documents, whether it was in submitting the contextual statements, in all of those different elements of the work. We really thank you for your work and I would say tolerating the stress that was associated with the process. Want to look ahead, though, as we think about what's coming as it relates to, we'll look in 2 areas. It's student affairs and academic affairs. But thinking about first student affairs at Central Lakes, we know Jane is now on board. Welcome. But we'll have enrollment work that will continue and in many ways be driven by some of the data points that came out of our analysis and prioritization work. We'll also share this afternoon several key data points that will be helpful for us that come out of the work of John Osmussen. John's a retired MNSCU professional. He was leading the Office of Internal Auditing before he retired and is something of a data guru. And John is working for the college in a consulting capacity right now and helping us understand enrollment patterns and that kind of thing. We'll bring forward several of John's data points for our enrollment conversation this afternoon. But looking ahead, enrollment is going to be on our radar screen. Referenced a few moments ago, but the Office of Higher Ed has the special tuition funding for selected career and technical education programs. You'll be hearing more about that. We'll also be partnering with the Office of Higher Ed in terms of collaborating on campaign strategies and that kind of thing. Momentarily, moments from now, we're going to share about the Shark Tank proposal and give you some information on that. And we anticipate that proposal will be leading to action and implementation. We're going to be looking forward to development, and Jane referenced pathways, but I know that Nick and his team have also been looking at transfer pathways that move from college to career and thinking about that from the outset so that there's a real consistency and an integrity in the work that students take on. And then looking also at a CRM for continuing students at the college. So it's a better way for understand where are students in the process of their work. Here in Academic Affairs at Central Lakes, giving you a bit of a forecast of what's ahead. Phase 2 of analysis and prioritization, and really looking at some of the challenges that were defined for us in the documents that have been shared with you. We know that, and I'll give you a little bit of a heads up of some of the data that will be shared this afternoon, but there's a need for us to think creatively about how do we attract new high school students and how do we retain older students, so the non-traditional students, and those will be two key areas for us to take a look at. We also want to work together on a process for program review that is able to engage the data sets and the work that we've done in the fall, but thinking through about what can program review look like. We realize, of course, that it's only so many years that a formal program review may be done, but what are the scorecards and what are the data sets that would be helpful for us to be watching on a continual basis? So looking at that work. Student learning outcomes, Brandy's great work for us. We'll kind of give that the IE here as we think about it relating to assessment. Also, marketing. There'll be a session coming up this morning. That's in collaboration, of course, with Student Affairs, and we heard a lot about marketing as it related to the program analysis and prioritization work, and I just say here, yes, we heard you, and there'll be more information coming about that. Also, looking at a new scheduling process. There'll be some time in the division meeting and the work sessions this afternoon to talk further about that, but what we want to do is actually move from more of a broader is maybe not the right word, but from the rolling forward of prior schedules and then finding ourselves needing to cancel classes to building from the get-go at least a more conservative schedule and adding sections. And the difference is in the end we hopefully end up in the same place but don't frustrate as many students along the way. So moving to a more conservative process in terms of being able to identify courses early on and then being able to add courses as might be needed so that we're able to, in some ways, address the capacity concerns that we had out of the prioritization work. And of course, always keeping an eye on the Higher Learning Commission. We'll be looking this coming semester at some of the assurance statements that need to be developed. These are statements that align with the criteria that the HLC has for us, and then that those statements are made, but evidence is attached. And we need to, obviously, to be able to not only say what we're doing, but also provide the backup information. And so we'll be moving forward in developing of this process, and that'll be something coming for this spring semester. Also, other work coming on the academic affairs side of the house. Martha's going to share with us shortly about OER. We'll hear more about the Shark Tank project. Also, an exciting development with a sister institution here at Minskew. M-State has developed some curriculum management software, an application, if you will, that some of us were able to take a very early look at. I believe it's the 22nd of this month we're going to have, and we'll get more information out to you, but on the 22nd of this month we're going to have something of a demo, WebEx, in which the folks at M-State share about this curriculum management software that they have. This would be a product that steps in the place of Decision Academic and Catalog Navigator and Curriculum Navigator, and provides I think a much easier to use platform for us that actually then at the end of that process has a push button that allows it to be uploaded to the web. And so I think you'll be interested in that particular software piece, and we'll have more information coming to you. The student course survey project is something, again, we'll be wanting to collaborate with faculty on. This is going to be looking at essentially students' opinions, if you will, of courses that they're taking here at the Central Lakes, so wanting to move forward with faculty collaboration on this. We want to put together a committee to help steer regional and faculty-centered communities of practice. In other words, for those of you who are in a discipline with not too many colleagues, we know you have colleagues across the system. And I had proposed this a year ago to the system office. They didn't jump on it. But now I think there's interest again, and we're just going to move forward because I think faculty enjoy interacting with other faculty, especially in your program and discipline areas. And so wanting to put a committee together to think through what that might look like, and more likely not for spring semester, but as we look at the coming school year beginning next fall and what that might mean. So again, looking at putting together something of a steering committee on that regard. We're also engaged as Central Lakes College in a NASH initiative. NASH is the National Association of System Heads, and these are the system heads for various state associations or state systems of higher ed. And they're looking at colleges getting involved in actually in three key areas: in the Math Pathways project, which I think we have fairly well in hand with thanks to our math faculty's work. But the two other areas are focusing on is predictive analytics and high impact practices. And based on all the data we have, what can it help us predict as it relates to student work, student performance, and student achievement? And so that's a high priority for us, and we'll be moving forward with some of the very early work in this initiative. And then there's that focus on high impact practices for all students, and what are these best practices? We're going to have academic forums throughout the spring semester, as we've done in the fall. And John Osmussen, again, the consultant I referenced, will be with us in a coming, perhaps in February, in one of our academic forums to help us, again, think through where we're at in terms of the data sets and what they help us understand in terms of student numbers for us. And of course, as we look at fall, we'll have, or rather at spring, we'll be in that process of bringing on a new president, and that announcement would be made sometime, I'm guessing, as Nancy referenced, probably early spring. And that person will be on visiting the campus, as I understand it. So President Lundblad is our president until June 30th, but it is one of the activities, and I know Nancy, if she were right next to me, would say your engagement is going to be very important in this entire process. So as we look ahead, academic and student affairs, a busy semester, a number of initiatives that are on the radar screen for us, and really stay with us because we really need your engagement. We need your good ideas, and your ongoing engagement is super important. One last thing. I wasn't with you for the in-service day in August, and maybe you recall my dad had passed away, and actually his funeral was being held on those days, those August in-service days. And I heard from so many of you, messages and different remarks, and I just, and those thoughts and sympathies and all those things that were shared, and just wanted to really say thank you. We are a family. We're embedded together in this body of work. Sometimes we get frustrated with one another, but we are family, and I really appreciated that outreach that I received personally, and it was just very affirming. So I thank you so much for those comments and those many thoughts and prayers that were given. Questions any of you may have as we look to, especially now, spring semester? Anyone? All right. Well, at this point, we will keep the ball rolling. Wishing you a great spring semester. And Martha, come on up, and we'll just kind of lead right into the next session. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate your good work. Thank you. Should be good to go. Yep, there you go. All right, good. Thanks.
Okay, we got a little shuffling going on here. I'll give you a minute to find your seat, and there's still lots of pastries there awaiting you.
Reference the sign-in sheets for faculty.
Oh, yes, plus there are sign-in sheets for faculty that are going around, so if one has not come to your table, do seek one out and make sure to sign in this morning. I'm going to give you another minute to find yourself a seat and some coffee and some rolls. Oh, okay. All right. I think I'll just use this one. All right, we're already running 15 minutes behind our time. So I'm going to start talking to you about OER for a little bit here and some opportunities that will be available for faculty during spring semester. So OER, what is that again? OER stands for Open Educational Resources, and these are basically files that reside somewhere on the web that take the place of traditional textbooks. The files are free. They are open for people to use, to modify, to reproduce, to add to. That's what an OER is, and I am happy to announce that we have some funding this spring to really take OER to the next level at our college. And I want to remind you also, why is OER important? Why do we care about OER? OER really has a lot of positive results for our students. First of all, a lot of students don't buy the textbooks that we so carefully pick out and order, and the bookstore stocks them, and students don't always buy them. They can't afford them, or they don't understand the importance of them, being first generation college students. So OER is important to actually give students access to the materials that we want them to have access to. And when the students have access to the materials, then of course they're more likely to be successful in our courses. It's obviously saves students money. It saves the college money. Do you know that CLC spends $250,000 every year buying textbooks for our PSEO students? So it's a huge cost to the college, and it's also a cost to the high schools for CIS courses. The high schools are buying the books for e-college courses. The high schools are buying the books. So moving to OER not only saves students money, it saves the college money, it saves our high school partners money. So it's a money saver and something that really advantages our students and also advantages our college. It's really a selling point for our college to have OER courses. So, I'm here to tell you very briefly about 3 OER opportunities this spring. I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail right now. I'm just going to try to whet your appetite to take part in these opportunities. I'll send out a detailed email later today, and we'll have applications available next week. But basically, there are 3 different pathways for faculty to participate in OER work this spring, kind of depending upon your level of familiarity with OER and the depth that you would like to go to. So the first pathway is OER review, and this is what we have done in the past. We offered opportunities this last fall for OER review, and a year ago several of you took part in system level opportunities for OER review. So if you're going to do OER review, what you're going to do is to find a potential OER to use in one of your classes, and Dave Bissonette has been very helpful in this process. He has identified some really top-notch web locations for OERs that are good quality OER. So you can go to one of those locations, find a resource that you think might work for one of your classes, review that resource, and then your review gets posted to the web. And the idea here is that we're paying it forward, right? So that the next faculty member who's looking at that resource and considering, is this something I might want to use in my class, they can look at your review and figure out, is that a good thing for me to use, or what did this other person think about it? So we're contributing to the whole OER movement through doing this. And I'm happy to say that we're offering $500 stipends again this spring, same as we offered in the fall. There are some system opportunities as well, but they're only paying $200. So take advantage of our opportunities to potentially earn $500 for your review. So the second pathway is a new one, and this one is course redesign. So one of the barriers to incorporating OER is you have to do a lot of work to actually get that OER into your course and in a way that's usable for you and your students. And so it's not just saying, oh, go to this website instead of buying this textbook. It's a lot of work to really put it in to all of your modules, to redo your assignments, to redo your tests and quizzes to fit with the new OER. So to encourage you to really incorporate an OER in a class that you teach, this is what this course redesign process is about. So there will be a series of cooperative learning circles that will meet this spring, and you have an opportunity to work with your colleagues through this process of redesigning your course to use an OER. And what you would end up with is a D2L shell that is ready to go for you to teach, and also that would be available for sharing. And so this is part of that, again, paying it forward and taking OER to the next level at our college, is that we would ask you to apply for a Creative Commons license for the material that you develop as a result of your work here. And that means that it's going to say who wrote it, by, right? You would be the author, and then it would also tell other people how they might be able to use it. So we would hope that this would be shared at least across the department here at the college, and also be available for other faculty members as well. So this is really taking OER to the next level. Up till now, we've worked on an individual level, asking an individual to review a resource, and now we're saying, let's take it farther. What if we had a course that was OER? No matter who was teaching it, it would be an OER course. So this is a larger undertaking than reviewing a resource, and consequently, the payment is larger. This is a $1,500 payment for working through this course redesign process and ending up with a D2L shell that uses an OER. So that's the second pathway. The third pathway is actually authoring a resource. So this is creating your own resource. Maybe it would actually be a book. Maybe it would be a test bank. Maybe it would be a series of assignments, a series of quizzes. Maybe it would be videos. Maybe it would be podcasts. Again, it would be material that would be shared. Shared across the departments here at CLC and shared more broadly as well. There would be a Creative Commons license that would be attached to this, so that it's really open material that we are actually creating here at the college. This one again has a larger stipend attached to it, $1,500 for your work this spring, and I imagine that there might be individuals that would work on this, and there might also be some interest in cooperating across a department with a couple of faculty members collaborating on creating materials to be shared. So that's the third pathway of OER, is actually authoring our own OER materials. And again, this is bringing OER to the next level at our college. Instead of just using materials that are out there, we're actually creating our own materials to be shared. So that is the authoring pathway. So I will send a follow-up email this afternoon that really has more detailed information on all of this, and I hope to have applications available in the next few days. The OER committee is meeting tomorrow to take a look at that material and make sure that we are ready to go. This would all be spring semester activities. Everything would be wound up in May of this year, so it's a spring opportunity. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy to be able to offer this payment and these opportunities to faculty to take OER to the next level. Any questions at this point? Patrick?
Well, we talked about this. How do we as a college let our students know that a particular course is using OER?
And that's a very good question, because in order to really take advantage of it, we have to let students know. And that's something that the committee is going to be looking at this spring. Can we put, say, a note in ISRS so that when a student looks at a section of a course, they say, oh, look, here's the OER section, because that's really important to be able to let students know which courses are OER.
And likewise, school districts.
Yes, and I hope that this would happen through the CIS collaborators, right? So if someone is collaborating on Comp 1, hopefully all the instructors who are collaborating on Comp 1, if there's a Comp 1 OER, we would let those school districts know. And this is part of the advantage of creating this material and sharing it, as we would share it with our high school partners. Yeah. Good. Other questions at this point? Okay, I know that they will be coming up, and so feel free to reach out to me. And again, I'll get that detailed email information to you later this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. At this point, as you see on your schedule, Darren and Corey are going to be up front for us. We know that as Michael Amick left us, earlier last year during the summer months, that we had something of a gap. Michael was something of our technology evangelist, if you will, and also helping us think strategically about our online coursework. But we don't want to leave technology behind. We know that that's still something of a gap for us on the academic side, but we also know that Corey and Darren have some interesting innovations that they want to share, and also some resources that will be attached to what they're sharing. So Corey and Darren, come on up.
Morning. It's going to take about 2 minutes for me to set up. I got a couple of things I have to switch over here.
Test, test. It's ready to connect. Okay. Make what larger?
Should I go grab them? Or you want to go talk to them? Right at the very back. Behind Ryan. So should we get started? You ready?
What?
Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Test, test, test. All right, let's get started.
So we've been looking at some new technology, and I'm not sure how new the technology is, but it's kind of new to us. And over the past few months, we've been looking at a way to help the faculty out when they're presenting. So Corey and I, we put together a little slideshow here, or a little presentation. And the technology that we're going to be using is called Miracast. Corey?
So one of the things that Darren had been talking about, and I keep hearing it, is the cost for a smart classroom. So how can we do things differently? So a smart classroom with notebook software is upwards in the cost of 5 to 6 to 7,000, depending on what we put in the room. If it's a projector and the smart board you can write on, or if it's a flat screen touch monitor, it's quite a cost. And then once it's in that room, it's in that room. It's attached to that room, and it is not mobile. So how could we do things a little bit differently, get somewhat of the same functionality, in some cases even better functionality, and then make it more mobile? And also take the teacher out of the front of the room, make the teacher mobile in the room, add student collaboration. There's lots of benefits to this this methodology. So right now I've got a Surface Pro in the palm of my hand, and that's my display right there. I'm mirror casting with, sorry, we didn't practice this. And this is live, it's not lip synced, so bear with us.
And I'll apologize right now for the size of the font on my computer. It looked really large. So, sorry, Corey.
Okay, so Miracast Pro or Surface Pro is using a protocol called Miracast. And basically what it is it's a little HDMI adapter that can go into any HDMI enabled device like a projector, flat screen monitor, even a HDMI switcher, and it would allow this device to connect to that. And when I say flat screen, it could be your general, what you can buy at Walmart, you know. So like, for an example, a touch screen, smart flat screen, what is it, 74 inch?
Yep.
74 inch is upwards in the cost of $4,000 to $5,000.
Roughly, yeah.
So if you had a $4,000 to $5,000 budget to buy a big TV, you could buy one heck of a big TV.
Timed out.
Come on, give me some filler here.
This is why we're not faculty.
You also need to buy a Surface Pro, right?
No, we'll get to that.
Okay, so back to the cost comparison. To buy a Surface Pro is $750 to $800, and they keep coming down. And the HDMI Miracast device is $40. So, you know, at $800 or $900, if we went into a classroom, we could do this right now using existing equipment. So a projector, a TV screen, whatever is in that classroom right now, we can utilize that right now and turn that room into a smart board type classroom for less than $1,000. All right.
Okay, so we're no longer tethered to the front of the room, though you can certainly use the computer and technology like a normal high-tech classroom. In other words, you're not going to lose anything in the classroom. It's going to be the same classroom it's always been, but it has an advantage of having the Surface Pro that you can use to walk around. You're not tethered right to the front talking and writing on a board. And this has lots of different advantages. I'm sure you've all had students in the classroom that in the very back, you might see a little of this going on. You can walk right back there and plop down right beside them and have your lecture and do your lecture. Also, Christina, is Christina in here? No? She had an idea that when she's teaching computer technology or computers, or on the computers, she liked to walk behind the students just to see that, make sure that everybody's on the same page. You know, that everything's working fine, or they're doing it where they're supposed to be.
Okay, we've gone over the costs a little bit. Another benefit to this would be the Surface Pro would be a replacement for your PC. So the Surface Pro would be your device and would travel with you. So it would take away the anomaly or the insecurity of I'm going to a classroom and it doesn't have my stuff on it. or I haven't tested this, I'm going to the unknown. You can test it in your own office or whatever, and make sure that everything's working. You go up to the classroom, you mirrorcast to the device, and away you go. So the other benefit to a Surface Pro over native Google, Android, Apple devices is, you may have noticed I was logging in with my Star ID. These devices are on a secure CLC network, allows you to log in with Star ID. Your drives will map, your shared network locations will be available to you, and also you can print. So there's added benefits to that as well.
Okay, and with this, if you've ever, how many people here have used smartboards? Wow, I don't
Awesome.
think it was that many. How many of you have had problems with calibration, where you write on the board and all of a sudden it appears way over here? All that's gone. Everything works perfectly. There is no more calibration.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
We'll get to the disclaimer at the end of this presentation.
So basically, there is no calibration. Corey, could you just go to the second slide? Okay, go ahead.
Oop.
All right. Corey, could you
I'll
highlight?
print that later and hand it out. There'll be a signing at noon.
Can you highlight? Something?
Well, I don't know how to run this stuff.
By the way, this is a smartboard software. Where'd it go?
So besides the smartboard software, which I am not that well versed in a little bit, Hoffman has generously offered to show some of the native tools that are available in Windows 10 with the pen. So if you're not a notebook software fan, it's not necessary. If you'd rather do PowerPoint, you can annotate, highlight in PowerPoint. You can annotate, highlight on a web page, on a PDF, and there's some other really cool stuff, and Paul's gonna show us that. So as Darren alluded to, we are not faculty, and we don't always come up with these cool ideas. So we had been doing this show on the road for a little bit here, and with some faculty, and there's been some really cool ideas. One was, well, can I get a Bluetooth headset, and can I record my entire presentation, including what's on the desktop, record that, and Sue Bremer came up with this idea, and then save that and put that into D2L. Yeah, why not? So now we're talking about flipping our classrooms. So I think that's a great idea. I think as the early adopters and the people in the pilot program start using this, we're going to come up with some really cool usages. So.
Let's go do the dock camera, the camera.
Okay.
So another advantage to this, you'll probably have to disconnect.
Could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Do you know if it has voice recognition software? For example, if you just wondering if, hello? Yeah. If you could switch the language, for example, if it has voice recognition software so that what you're saying is appearing on the screen. Are you aware of that?
So
element?
this is a Windows device. So any software that's available on any Windows platform we can install on here. So like Kurzweil, DragonSpeak, all those software platforms would be available to be installed here. So yeah, I'm very confident that we can make a voice recognition software work.
One other advantage that we have with this is that it's not limited just to Surface Pro, but you can also, if you've got an Android phone, 4 8.54 or greater, you can connect to it.
And so this is where student collaboration could come in. Also, if the student is carrying a laptop and it's 8.1 or higher, not necessarily Surface Pro, any kind of laptop, 8.1 or higher, it's going to have Miracast capability. So now if you're in a classroom and they're doing OER, so they have extra money to buy a laptop device, which many are carrying anyway. Once you've got that classroom full of kids with their own laptops and, you know, Billy over here is doing something really cool and you go, hey, let's present that to the classroom, he can Miracast right in and now he's a presenter. So it brings in a little bit of student collaboration.
More than how to do that.
How are you?
It's not going to do Norse.
He really likes to push the envelope.
Not going to do Norse.
Very good to meet
I'm not perfect, people. But there's all, hold on. There's all different languages here, Tracy. So Spanish is, I mean, there's like 30 or 40 languages that you can program into this.
Wait till his wife texts in. Then it'll be fun.
I already took care of that.
Okay.
She has instructions not to. But so one of the things that I know Paul thought we should show is how clear it is just from a phone. What we can see here. Gallery. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it just starts with hi and then
Moving right along. So you do have to be careful what you put up here. Do you want to connect back up, or should we have Paul?
maybe we'll have Paul connect.
Paul?
So the other thing to note is when you're connected, only one device can be connected at a time, obviously, but nobody can intercept that connection and connect and kick you out. So there is also the availability to put passwords on here. Obviously, the worst thing to happen would have a crafty student walking by your classroom project their information onto your screen. So they can be password protected, and once one device is connected, that's it. So.
I don't care. Can you hear me if I don't have a microphone? Okay. So they showed you a smartboard. How many use smartboard software? Do you have like your class lesson plan in notebook software? Or do you use Excel or something? Okay, so that's what I use smartboard for. I use it as a digital whiteboard, basically. You know, I don't need that expensive of a board to do just whiteboard stuff. So they showed you a little bit about the smartboard here, but what I want to show you is the PowerPoint. I have my lesson plans on PowerPoint. Oftentimes I don't use the PowerPoint. I write it out anyway, because if I use a PowerPoint, oh, I gotcha. Has to be saved for years to come.
You want this?
I'm not a teacher, so
You want this?
no, that's fine. But what I do is I write stuff out, because if I go with just a PowerPoint, I have a tendency to go too fast and the students don't catch up. So what I like about this is I can still, if I have it set up right, I can still write it out. Sure I can. I can still write it out, but what comes up on the screen is text. They don't have to understand my sloppy handwriting. Microsoft does that for them. So that's pretty cool. I like that aspect. The other thing is the being able to write on it. Right on the PowerPoint, I can draw my little circle that stands for Ohm's Law. And I know all of you understand Ohm's Law and know what EI and R stand for. E stands for volts, and it's a hard time getting them to understand that. I can take the highlighter, I can highlight E, I can highlight volts, highlight that it stands for the E in electromotive force, and I can save this PDF with the color highlights and everything on it, post it to D2L. So even if they don't have the highlighters highlighting all the things they're supposed to be doing when they're taking notes, they have the notes in D2L. So I like that aspect of it. I can go at their pace, writing it out, but it's still text, and that I can add color to it and save it. Corey mentioned the websites, or the web browser. It has Microsoft Edge in it, and I didn't want to show that one yet. So let's say a student comes in, they have something that they discovered on the internet, they think it's pretty cool, and you want to share it with the rest of your class. We can pull up this web page, and I can choose to write on it. In fact, I'll take this highlighter, and if I want to highlight this section, I can highlight it. I can save this as a PDF and post it to D2L. What happens if that goes here? Does that work? You can hear that? Can you hear that, Mark? All right, good. So you can take this website, write right on it, Oh, I spelled cool wrong. Got to take my eraser, get rid of that. I can save it with all the writing, post as a PDF, and be able to post it to D2L for students to see and share. Right from the website. That's something that Smartboard software offered us. With Windows 10 and Internet Explorer Edge, it's native. It's there automatically. In fact, if you have both of them on there, it doesn't work too good. We tried that. So the other thing that I didn't want to show you yet is, because this hasn't been approved by anybody, it's just my personal pet peeve. We're in 2015 and we're using computers and technology, and everything, we have forms online that we have to print off, fill out, and put in somebody's mailbox. Wouldn't it be cool if you could take a form, even if it wasn't fillable, and just write right on it with your actual signature and email it to somebody? This has a PDF. If it's a PDF form, you can open it up and write on it with this pen, just like your regular signature. It's not a digital signature, which I know some people have problems with. It's your actual signature, and you can email it, and it would really be an option for the college to go completely paperless. I've heard many times mentioned that since we've gone to computers, we use way more paper than we did beforehand. This would give us the opportunity to avoid that. That's what I got. Oh, yeah, that's not all I got. Good call.
That's where I was going before I got interrupted.
So, I was going to bring something small with the show. We'll have to do it this way. In my classroom, a lot of times we're taking apart carburetors or small things, and I have a little brass piece like this big that has the number 45 on it. It's pretty hard to share that with the whole class. But here, I can take this, and you can tell what color sprinkles are on that long john there. Because we know that's important. But you could pull it up also with the you could pull it up also with that pilot jet with the number 45 on it, and from the front of the room, the whole class can see it and see where it is. I used to hand it around class, and I don't know if the ones that are vaguely paying attention actually see the number or not, So with this, you can pull it up and actually see it. Even on a demonstration in the shop, set this up as a camera to show what you're doing, and maybe if somebody's standing in the back of the group, they can still see the projector and the screen, and see the demonstration up close, just like if they were in the front row. So yeah, it's this all came about. MEA break, Darren told me he was taking my smart board out of my classroom and going to leave me with a projector and a screen, and I started panicking. so this is what I know about it so far. I'm sure I'll know way more about it come Monday. That's all I got.
Okay, I think that's all. Should we ask for questions? Are there any questions?
So just to make sure I understand how this works, there's a $40 device that would go in the classroom that attaches to the projector, and any Windows 8.1 device or higher could connect to that without a Surface Pro. And then if there's a Surface Pro in the classroom, the instructor could use that also to instruct. But for example, there wouldn't be any additional cost to a student who already has a notebook computer to connect to it for, making presentations or something.
Correct.
As long as it's 8.1 or higher.
Right. So $40 per classroom, and then a few people get Surface Pros to start out.
As long as the projector has HDMI available, and all the newer projectors do.
Cool, thanks.
Got a question back here?
So how do we all get one?
Okay, no bake sales. So Dave has made available some funds for a pilot group. We don't want to go out and buy everybody one right now, but there'll be the possibility of 5 people with a pilot group, and I think, is Becca in here today? No. Okay. So there's going to be an application that you can fill out, return to Becca Kent or Martha, and then they'll take a look at, the deans and directors will take a look at it, and it's kind of like a lottery, or however deans and directors do it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, just a thought that, and we will have a form that we will get out, and again, it's an opportunity to apply. We're going to have a kind of a small users group that's going to experiment, and as Paul has already done some experimentation, but have a group that'll experiment and hopefully be able to provide us with some lessons learned, and as part of that, be able to also showcase in some new opportunities. One of the things that we'd like to do as part of kind of a tech rollout and training and things is to be able to provide these kind of unique resources for you to start to explore, understand, and get and mess around with a little bit. And so perhaps as we get to the end of spring semester, those folks that have had the chance to play with this technology could maybe do something, maybe during an academic forum or something, just to say, okay, here's what we were able to do, and some of the cool things we were able to do, whether it was taking your Android phone as or the Surface Pro as looking at either sprinkles or carburetor parts or whatever it might be, but just to be able, again, to share some of the insightful things that were learned. So we're going to get a process. We have a process already. We just have to get the application out, and we'll get that out hopefully later today.
Question over here? No?
If you were starting out new, though, you wouldn't need that projector because you could put that HDMI into whatever that big TV was.
If you're starting out new.
Buying a TV to put in your
Well, if you're populating a room that wasn't populated, yeah, you'd have, so then your cost is not simply $1,000, right? Because you have to buy your projector or whatever you want to use. But, my comparison of a 74-inch flat screen versus a 74-inch smartboard touch screen, they're substantially different in cost. Laura?
Yeah, if we think we have our own tablet that might work, we could just stop by and visit you guys and see if it's a possibility.
Sure. If you own, you mean like a personal device?
Personal tablet that you might want to try using in the class and just use that one.
I don't see a issue with that. Yep. And if you happen to be up for computer rotation, we are engaging with you, and if you want to go with a Surface tablet type device, we can entertain that for sure. So, and like Paul he had budget item. I mean, he used his own budget to purchase his.
And if you are replacing it as your office computer, the battery life on a Surface Pro is not the same as a laptop. Okay, so, I mean, just keep it in mind. To me, it's a worthwhile trade-off. You know, I really like how it works, and I think it's going to be great in the classroom. But the battery life is not as good. Of course, I haven't played with any power settings.
So what's your experience with the Surface Pro 4?
If I'm going to not use it for a while, don't let it go to sleep. Shut it off. If it goes to sleep, next time I open it up, about 50% of my battery's gone. You know, because it's using some kind of resource when it's sleeping. But when I shut it off, it's fine. So, I mean, just a little bit of change in how I do things, but I think the trade-offs are well worth it.
And just an FYI, there is docking stations for these so they can be docked and connected to additional monitors and use standard keyboard and mice. So you could have an office setup that would be, once you docked it, you'd have multiple monitors and, a pretty decent environment, plus the mobility then.
This is Jane. Oh, I'm not on. Oh, I gotta speak right into the microphone. This is Jane, and I'm not the most up to speed with technology, but I had an annoying experiences with Surface Pro, and that they would update at their own on their own time schedule. I couldn't monitor when that device would update with upgrades. Is that changed with the 4?
Well, I think that's an operating system configuration. So we at CLC control updates and the period for which the frequency. So that was a configuration problem.
Okay.
So if obviously these are new and I'm not exhibiting or seeing that behavior or having that, but yeah, that's a huge problem when you go into class to present and all of a sudden you have updates and you rebooted your device and it takes 40 minutes to come back up. So yeah, we try to stay on top of that stuff. Our updates run in the middle of the night. Wednesday nights, leave your machines on overnight Wednesday night and they'll get updated. So, any other questions? Well, we had Leon? iPad is not supported. So we looked at Chromecast, AirServe, Miracast. We've looked at them all, and none of them want to play together. That's the bottom line. So either we're doing one or the other. If you wanted to do something similar in your room, we would do Apple TV or AirServer, and we could accomplish that. So, yep, that's the bottom line. Chromecast was the closest, but they only do apps. You cannot Chromecast a full desktop unless it was virtual desktop through a Chrome browser to a screen. So this one has given us the most functionality with multiple devices, Google and Microsoft, and it seems to be the best fit for our environment.
And you can put it in the domain.
Right, the machines are in the domain. Log in with Star ID, print, access your home drive, network shares. Any other questions? Well, we were going to have Andrea Belial talk about their disabilities application that they're looking at. She wasn't willing to Skype in. I guess she's busy having a baby or something like that. But
Not a team player.
so we'll catch up with her later. But she's got some really cool stuff that would allow site-wide of a disability application that allows books, PDFs, and things to be read back to you. Really cool stuff. So, oh, awesome, Mary.
So I'm not Andrea. Andrea's at the hospital, so we'll keep her in our thoughts this morning. Amanda Small, by the way, is going to be filling in for Andrea while she's on maternity leave. But the technology that we're looking at purchasing is called Read and Write Gold. And I'm really excited about this because it really complements the presentation this morning, both presentations, the OER and the technology presentation right now. Currently, we're spending about $2,000 a year on our Kurzweil technology that will shrink and make big PDFs and that sort of thing for students with disabilities, but that's for 10 students currently. And if we purchase this other technology, we could implement that on every computer across campus, every cell phone, every faculty, staff members, your home devices, school devices, and it can also translate into about 60 different languages. So everything that you've seen here, students on their own computer can have input that into their own computer and translate into their own language. Why is that important? As we move towards a universal design campus and we talk about retention strategies, all of us have significant concerns about our ELL students and the gaps that we have here in terms of no student services, limited technology, and so on. This new technology is going to be a huge lifesaver for many of our students. We had students crash and fall and burn this last semester because of translation issues. This new technology is going to really be a win-win for students with disabilities, elderly students, all students, ELL students, and again, a universal design component. So you'll be hearing more about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, if there's no other questions, Dave?
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Well, let's thank our tech guys here. And again, we're going to get information out to you on this application process. We're going to put about 5 of these Surface Pro tablets out there. Some of you may have them already. And then also be able to outfit the classroom with this little Miracast device. I'm kind of wondering about that device as well, because I think for $40, it's something might plug into the back of my my flat screen TV at home or something, and be able to kind of mess around with, stream things from my phone maybe over to my TV. Working with. So is this, whose phone is this? Okay, Mark. Any text messages you want to share with us? Oh, there you go. And but it's a cool technology, and I think that as we start imagining applications, I'm sure we'll be able to create quite a list. We are a pinch ahead of schedule. That's not a bad thing. And Karen, Dave, and Nick, are they out here? As we think of, I see Dave. Is Karen? Oh, I see Karen. I don't know, is Nick with us as well? But maybe just if you want to just come up and share a little bit about what we've been a part of as it relates to this thing called Shark Tank. Does anybody want to send a note off to Nick? You might. I know that with their enrollment services is obviously very busy, but Nick has some background on this one as well. Talk amongst yourselves. The coffee is still here. We'll get Nick, and again, we're like I said, just a few minutes early. catch your seat once again. We are all present and accounted for. All right. And again, being that we're here in the cafeteria, we can be a little bit more informal, so that's a good thing. There's still, I presume, some coffee there and whatnot. But again, continuing the conversation, moving through our agenda, moving forward to this thing on your agenda called Shark Tank. And with that, I will turn it over to Nick.
Thanks, Dave. Good morning, everybody. One of the things I love about CLC and working for the community college system is that we really can be innovative. And oftentimes, you see in terms of initiatives and student success initiatives, new concepts and ideas, they often start at a community college. And that's one thing I really enjoy about my job is thinking differently about, okay, what are things we could do and out-of-the-box things to try to improve the student experience. And as you know, President Lundblad challenged us this fall semester to review this book, Redesigning Community Colleges. And a group of us were part of the book study, and we started just having conversations like, well, what would some of this look like at CLC? And then we kind of got wind that there was, Minskew was having this thing they were calling a Shark Tank proposal, where colleges could, basically apply for little mini grants of $25,000 to promote new ideas and innovative solutions to try to improve student experiences. So a group of us got together and said, okay, well, how could we go for this and also do it in a way to, wrap around some of our conversations that we're having as part of this Redesigning America's Community Colleges book. And so we kept talking and trying to think outside the box. And we came up with this idea of a program that we're going to be sharing with you briefly today, and we're going to be pitching to Minskew down at the system office. So I don't know if many of you have seen the show Shark Tank. I'm assuming it's not going to be as tense and everything as the TV show. At least I hope not. But I'm hopeful that we'll have a award and we'll have a good time sharing our ideas here. And I'm going to turn it over here quickly to Dave and Karen to kind of share some of the rationale behind it. But I want to go through the program just as an overview so you can start thinking about it. And at the end of our presentation, we're going to be asking for faculty support in terms of forming a committee to really go through this program and talk through the curriculum and what your thoughts are on it. But our ideas here is that we wanted to create a program, we're calling it the MAP program, and we want to have it available for new entering fall students to apply for. And this program is really looking at it's kind of a college within the college type of program. And it's a program where if you were a student that were scoring maybe into our developmental education sequence, you're maybe an at-risk student, a program that provides some really clear, intrusive pathways in terms of being very prescriptive, telling you where you need to start, and has prescriptive things you need to do in terms of meeting with support staff, going to the Learning Commons and receiving tutoring. And it has some benefits in it as well, in terms of potentially smaller classes, faculty that are engaged in a learning community style of instruction, and some financial incentives as well that we're bringing through. So I'll share a little bit about how the program works and the curriculum, then I'll turn it over to Dave. So our idea here is that we were looking and we say, looking at the data at CLC, our student success, completion, and persistence rates of students who score into our Reading 1 group as part of the A degree are very low. And that's the case across the system. They're under 25%. And so we thought, well, geez, this would be, if there was one population that we wish we could move the needle for, it'd be these Reading 1 students. The other thing they struggle with is that oftentimes to get through Reading 1, if you score into Reading 1, it takes 3 to 4 years in most cases for them to, if they actually complete that, to complete a degree at CLC. So we said, well, one of the reasons we found the book was saying that students don't continue is because they see their path to graduation taking too long. So how could we make a coherent set of courses with good choices their first couple semesters so they know what they have to take, and also give them a way to graduate even if they score into Reading 1 instead of 3 to 4 years in 2 years. So this is where this program came about. So under the MAP program, what we're proposing is that students who score into Reading 1, if they want to be in this program, they would apply for this program. and we're taking Reading 1 students, and if we accept them, they have to agree to certain standards. They have to agree to meet with an academic advisor or counselor regularly. They have to agree to spend 2 hours at least in the Learning Commons, and they have to agree to follow our prescriptive pathway of courses to take. So they would apply, and we would meet with them to do an intake, and if we accept them into the program, they would follow this sequence of courses. So you can see here we start them in semester 1 in a reading and on course, and then they actually concurrently would go into some liberal arts courses, and they would do this at the same time completing Reading 1, where normally they would have to pass Reading 1 to take some of these liberal arts courses. And you can see here that we have a prescriptive path into semester 2, again, prescriptive choices of courses. And then semester 3 and 4, we have some more prescriptive course offerings, but you also see we're opening it up for a little more latitude in the program so that if students are transferring to a specific 4-year discipline, they can do so. But we're really hopeful while they're getting these courses as part of the program, faculty would meet together as part of this learning community to talk through how the students are doing in their class to make sure we're following these students. And this cohort would be capped at 24, which is the same tally as our Reading 1 course. So again, we're asking for Shark Tank approval at Minsky to help cover some of the costs of the program. We're planning to give some stipends to faculty participating, and we'd love your input. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues here, Dave and Karen, and they're going to give you kind of some of the academic rationale for the program.
Okay. Let's see here. By the way, the reason the three of us are working together is because, well, we were talking about this book last fall, and Karen and I got into a conversation about how we can take action based on what this book is about. But while Karen and I were busy talking about it, Nick took action. So really this idea, Nick's being very polite, but if this whole idea, if you like this idea, it was Nick's idea. On the other hand, if you don't like this idea, still Nick's idea. Yeah. So why are we doing this? Nick gave you the what. I'm going to give you the why, and then Karen's going to talk about the how. So next slide. Why are we doing this? To pilot the guided pathways model, as opposed to, go ahead, next slide, versus a cafeteria model. So you know how this works, right? On the liberal arts side, at least, this college operates on the cafeteria plan. Students take courses in no particular order. They can sow their academic wild oats, right? The problem is they take too many courses that they don't need. They spend too much money. They take too much time, and a lot of them fall off, right? The guided pathways model puts them on an academic track. They're interested in physical science, they get on a physical science track. They're interested in social science, they get on the social science track, etc. And they stay on that track all the way through to graduation. They stay on the straight and narrow. The guidance part is mandatory. They do not register for courses without seeing a guidance counselor before they do that. They attend regular and frequent counseling sessions throughout their academic time. So we want to try this for the students that need it most. Go ahead. We also want to explore the feasibility of that reading curriculum, the remedial education part, the remedial reading, taken concurrently with the courses that normally have that reading prerequisite. Again, because the data shows that when you divert students away from what they perceive as their academic pathway to success, that's actually a barrier to success. So we want to try this. We want to try this as well. Go ahead. We want to explore a collaborative approach to courses taught across disciplines. So what we're talking about here is, we want to know in sociology or in biology or in earth science, my area. We want to know what's going on in CCST and what's going on in READ, and we can have our students apply those concepts to the curriculum in our classes. Conversely, in CCST and READ, they need to know what's going on in SOC or in history or in biology so they can address issues that come up for the students in their classes. Next, we want to explore the possible benefits of student cohorts in the liberal arts. So we all know the benefit of cohorts, right? It's clear that there is a correlation of students that are in cohorts to success. They're more successful. Why shouldn't all liberal arts students enjoy that great gift of cohortification, right? So we want to explore this as well. Go ahead next. We want to encourage intentional integrative learning and a progressive mastery of essential skills and capabilities that are common to all academic disciplines in the liberal arts. That was a mouthful, and I'm not even sure what I just said, so we're going to have to come back to that. But first I want to share with you just some of the success stories of the guided pathways model. So here's one here. Kennedy King College in Chicago increased completion rates by 50% in 5 years. We'll go through these quickly. Next one. Queensborough Community College has these things. They call their guided pathways model freshman academies. First year retention, right? 3-year graduation rate for their first year cohort. So that's pretty good. Go to the next one. This one's brand new. Alamo College's Pathways Project. This is a Texas group of 2-year colleges. And they have these things, they call them student milestones. By the time a student hits 15 credits, they have to declare a career goal. By the time they get to 30 credits, they have to declare a university of choice. And the benefit here then is that university will be contacted, and the expectation is that university will contact that student. If they want that student, they're going to have to make transfer attractive for that individual. So it's kind of like killing 2 stones with 1 bird, right? Because there's always this articulation thing going on with 2-year colleges and universities, and this is a way to address that. And this publication just came out within the last couple of months. American Association of Community Colleges releases publication titled The 6 Core Principles for Transforming Remediation. Remedial reading, remedial math, right? And the very first core principle is this. Every student's post-secondary education begins with an intake process to choose an academic direction. That's the pathways part. And identify the support needed to pass relevant credit-bearing gateway courses in the first year. That's remedial education taken concurrently with the courses that they need for their degree. The point here is that the pathways model has risen, the evidence for this model has risen to the attention of these high-level national policy-making organizations, and the publications that come out of these organizations are now there for us to inform us about, what we should be doing and how we should be doing it, right? Okay, let's go back to that mouthful of gobbledygook I had a little while ago right here. And we'll just try to unpackage one little piece of it. This bit about the essential skills and capabilities that are common to all academic disciplines in the liberal arts. Let's go to the next slide. What are they? So what are the essential skills and capabilities that cross disciplinary boundaries in the liberal arts? Give me one. Give me another one. I heard reading. Writing. One more. Speaking. Okay, so right among this group, we could come up with this list in 5 minutes, maybe a dozen or so items. Well, next slide, please. This this article came out a year ago, and this publication comes in our email. And the headline says, it's small here, but the headline says, survey finds that college students think they are being well prepared with the skills and qualities needed for careers. Employers are dubious. Now, wait a minute. You thought this was about liberal education. And lib arts faculty make this argument all the time. The purpose of a liberal education is blah, 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 for a functioning democracy, right? Healthy democracy. That thing, right? So why am I showing you this article? Well, in that article was a graphic, interesting graphic, and here it is right here. And it's neat. So what it's showing, it's comparing what four-year college degree graduates think about their capabilities in doing things in different skill areas compared to what employers think about their ability to do those same things in those same skill areas. So the light blue lines are college graduates and the dark blue lines are employers. So the one thing that's interesting about this is it's like college graduates aren't as good at doing stuff as what they think they are, right? It's in the eyes of employers. Another thing that's interesting about this is when you look at what those different skill areas are. So, working with others in teams, ethical judgment and decision making, oral communication, written communication, working with numbers, critical thinking, complex problem solving skills, science, foreign languages, cultural things in there. It's like, are these not the essential skills and capabilities of liberal education? It's like we don't have to argue about this anymore. It's like these are converging interests, right? What's good for the workforce is good for the liberal arts. In fact, I would argue that we can do away with both of those terms and just say that these are the essential skills and capabilities for a globally competent individual. Now, the third thing that's interesting about this is when you look at the dark blue lines, the bars for the employers, none of them are very long. In fact, the longest one, it's like 37%. Suggesting, if this is right, public higher ed has got to up its game. You know, if it doesn't, somebody's going to win it away from us. And really, those somebodies are already out there and trying to do just that. They're working very hard at it, and you know this. So the MAP program, you know, if you boil it down to its essence, the MAP program is really just wanting to up the game a little bit. But also, go back to that bar. The other thing it wants to do is when it's, you know, when the conversation goes to the essential skills and capabilities of liberal education, it begins with this list here. We can argue the finer points, and we probably will, but we'll start with a list that looks something like this. Okay, so that was the why. Karen's got the how.
Okay, so what we're hoping that the MAP program will provide for students is better retention rates, higher completion rates, and shorter times to graduation. Go ahead. Can you hear me now? Okay. We also hope that will inform us about the feasibility of using a guided pathway system here as an approach for our entire college possibly, and also provide us with a rationale for actually jumping into some institutional changes here. Go ahead, Nick. So what we want to talk about what MAP is not. And it certainly is not a criticism of anything that we are currently doing here. It's not, we don't believe that it's a fit for every student nor for every faculty member. And it's certainly not an attempt to dilute academic rigor. So what we want to talk about is the faculty needs of people who may want to participate in this. And it definitely is going to be a collaborative effort, and it's going to take a lot of energy and extra time and the ability to be flexible in working with students and working with other faculty and with staff. So the requirements would be that faculty would meet once a week to coordinate curriculum across disciplines. And that would be looking at what's going on in CCST, in our reading programs, our math programs, and also the liberal arts courses that are included in that schedule, and how they can be directly addressed across those discipline areas. Go ahead. We wanted to be able to share issues regarding student success, and also any barriers that we may find while we're working through this program. Go ahead. So then the staff needs, beyond the faculty needs, will be that students will be meeting with staff in the Learning Commons for tutoring and reading and writing. They must spend at least 2 hours per week with a tutor. They must meet once per month with a MAP counselor. And then they must meet with a CLC advisor to register for classes. And like Nick said previously, we want to have a limit, cap this at a 25 student cohort. We would use the curriculum that he's discussed. Our proposed method of distributing the grant, if we do receive it, would be a $1,000 stipend per course that faculties would earn for working with their curriculum within this cohort. An end of the year celebration, which Adam has done with the honors program, which has really, really been successful. Graduation pins, marketing of $2,000. And then we'd also be encouraging our MAP participants to apply for the DASH grant of up to $500. Go ahead, Nick. So our next steps are that we are waiting to see if we are allowed or invited to go to the Shark Tank and propose this to what is it? What am I talking about here? Grant. Okay, and so that would be what our plan is for the spring. There's we have to go down there different times to go through the thing, just like Shark Tank. Have you guys watched Shark Tank? Yeah, so that's kind of what we're setting ourselves up for. We would want to assemble a task force, like Nick talked about, of faculty and staff to help us with pulling this CCS curriculum together, and then finalizing other curriculum issues. This was really like a very quick draft, and we know we've already had input from other faculty that have suggested some changes that we think are valid, and so we would really like your input on that. And so if you're interested, we would invite you to come to our meetings to discuss those issues. One of the things that I would like to do just quick before we close is talk a little bit more about how this fits into our discussions on the guided pathways model. And to do that, I would just like to read you 4 pieces of information that I kind of gleaned from looking at the different resources that we've used to come up with this. And these all concern the students that we have coming into our community colleges. And the first one is that fewer than 4 of 10 students that enter our colleges complete a degree within 6 years. 80% of the students entering community colleges intend to earn a bachelor's degree, with only 15% of them actually doing so. Students who were able to transfer almost all of their credits to a 4-year college were 2.5 times more likely to earn a bachelor's degree. 2/3 of the students entering community colleges are deemed by their colleges to be academically underprepared. And even those deemed college ready are not ready for the level of conceptual nor critical thinking expected by college faculty. So, in thinking about that in the Pathways model, I'd like to refer once again to this book that Dr. Lundblad has suggested that we read. There's another really good book that I've read, What Excellent Community Colleges Are Doing. These are colleges that have won the Aspen Award. And also this publication that Dave referred to, which are those 6 guidelines. In talking about that very last issue that was mentioned on those 4 things about students being unprepared to come into our college classrooms. And I think all of us have thought at one time or another about our students not being prepared and wanting to immediately blame like the high schools that have sent those students to us. And we have to understand that 4-year colleges are doing the same things. They're looking at us and they're blaming us for sending them students that are not prepared. And what all of these colleges have done in these college sites that have been successful in raising their retention rates and their success rates and their graduation rates is that they've looked at the fact that we as community colleges are that bridge between the high school and the workplace. And they've gone away from that blame game perception to a solution perception and looked at what can we do to change this. Because no matter how or why our students came to us this way, there are students now, and this is our situation, is to deal with them and to help them down this next section of road toward their successful career. So I think that's maybe where we have to move to in looking at this MAP program, our OERs, our guided pathways model, is maybe move back from that blame game and say, you know, this is where we are, this is what we have to deal with, and how do we get there? And I think that this is probably a really, really good start for those at-risk students that we get here in our college.
Okay, well, I see we were allotted 15 and took half an hour, but we'll just close briefly by saying, you know, one thing we probably should have put on the form is this is a very draft proposal, and we really do want your input, and we're really trying to innovate and think differently here to try to improve outcomes for students. So look forward to that email you'll be getting from us about a meeting time to kind of unpack this proposal, and we'd love to have conversations with you at that meeting or even before in the hallways. So thank you for in advance for your support, and hopefully we'll give you something to chew on and keep thinking about. So I think I'll turn it back to Dave. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dave. We have about 4 minutes, 5 minutes, so for a real quick break, and then we will reconvene and talk marketing. So 5 minutes. Thank you.
you don't know which class to take. Central Lakes College offers a variety of math courses that are key to graduating. But how do you know which one's right for you? If you're a student who is studying in the social science or nursing fields, taking an Intro to Stats class will complement your already required curriculum. If a student is enrolled in a liberal arts program, a pathway to concepts in math will make transferring to a four-year institution as easy as pie. However, if a student is enrolled in the science and math and many other fields, Central Lakes College offers a more in-depth series of classes, following the college algebra pathway. After completing college algebra, students are able to pursue a pre-calculus through Calculus 2 before branching off to either multivariable calculus, linear algebra, differential equations, or all of the above. If math does not really add up for you, Central Lakes College offers developmental math courses as well. Depending on your placement test scores, you may be advised to enroll in Math Pathways or Intermediate Algebra to become prepared for the college-level courses. If you are still unsure of what mathematics class at CLC is right for you, do not be afraid to consult a student advisor or a math instructor. So, you're registering for a mathematics class, but you don't know which class to take. Central Lakes College offers a variety of math courses that are key to graduating. But how do you know which one's right for you? If you're a student who is studying in the social science or nursing fields, taking an Intro to Stats class will complement your already required curriculum. If a student is enrolled in a liberal arts program, a pathway to concepts in math will make transferring to a four-year institution as easy as pie. However, if a student is enrolled in the science and math and many other fields, Central Lakes College offers a more in-depth series of classes, following the college algebra pathway. After completing college algebra, students are able to pursue a pre-calculus through Calculus 2 before branching off to either multivariable calculus, linear algebra, differential equations, or all of the above. If math does not really add up for you, Central Lakes College offers developmental math courses as well. Depending on your placement test scores, you may be advised to enroll in Math Pathways or Intermediate Algebra to become prepared for the college-level courses. If you are still unsure of what mathematics class at CLC is right for you, do not be afraid to consult a student advisor or a math instructor.
You don't have to go to the Twin Cities to find top-notch entertainment. Right here in Brainerd, you have access to numerous talents from across the country in an intimate venue. Central Lakes College Cultural Arts presents.
I'm Ken Doles, the marketing director here at Central Lakes College. Thanks for having me. I found it interesting that we gave the president like a half an hour yesterday to talk, and we gave the vice president, I think, maybe 15 minutes today. They're giving us an hour and 15 minutes, so must be an important topic, so we hope to treat it that way. From the presentation yesterday, I thought it was ironic that Dave Davis kind of set up his presentation with the same things I was going to talk about by introducing the presentation. This presentation at times you may find murky. Sometimes you may feel uncomfortable during this presentation, and it probably will be lengthy, so I hope you bear with us. So now we'll try to make it as painless as possible. What we're going to cover today, mainly going to cover today is marketing initiatives that are in the CLC strategic plan. So we're not going to cover everything we do. We're just going to cover some of the new initiatives that we're working on and give you a progress report on that. We're going to talk about plans for spring semester, and we definitely want to have enough time to talk about that today. And at the end, we're going to try to leave at least 15 to 20 minutes just for a feedback questionnaire and any questions that you do have at that time. So the parts of the strategic marketing plan that are embedded into the CLC strategic plan are promotion, brand development, website, and social media public information. The first thing I'm going to talk about today is the promotional aspect. I won't go too much into traditional. I mean, we're still using radio, newspaper, TV, and so forth. We're going to be looking at, with a new committee that I believe Larry talked about yesterday, we'll be talking about our marketing mix with that marketing committee to see how the traditional media still plays and if we're missing things in traditional media, and give you some input on that through that committee. So mostly today I'm going to talk about digital, because digital and online advertising was a real focus for us in this past year, and we're trying to increase our footprint in digital online advertising and promotion. And we're going to share with you a couple things that we're doing with that today. One of the things we're doing, if you may or may not have noticed, but we're been doing a search engine advertising campaign for, I think it goes back to last spring. So we're on Google, Yahoo, Bing search engines. People type in keywords looking for colleges, community colleges, technical colleges, a lot of keywords that we have plugged in. They should be served up an ad for Central Lakes College. So that program has been working pretty well for us. I think this report is from summer, so about 366,000 impressions, 1,400 click-throughs, and 47 leads through that search advertising campaign. When you look at, I'll talk about impressions later because I'm going to be talking about impressions quite a bit in the next few slides. We also, as part of a contract that we have through Go Digital, is the contracted agency that helps us place these ads. We also have a social media campaign, so we place ads on Facebook pages and other social media pages that people are hitting within a geographic area, so that we're serving up ads to a lot of our potential students over social media. And there again, we have about 260,000 impressions. That means that when somebody's looking at their Facebook page, that they would see an ad for Central Lakes College. About 1,800 click-throughs, which is pretty strong click-through rate compared to national averages. Like I said, I got 70 slides, so I'm going to keep these moving pretty quickly. And hopefully, if you have any questions, remember those, jot them down until when we have time at the end. Another thing that we just started really in December was a program of retargeting advertising. And retargeting advertising is if they hit our website, so they have some interest in our website, they may have hit our website through an ad, they may have just gone there organically, they may have gone through the Minsky system. Anyway, they hit our website. What we do is we put some code when they hit our website on their browser so that our campaign partners then know when this person is out again browsing on the internet doing anything. They may be looking at CNN site or anything, and if they detect that that person had visited our site and has that cookie on their browser, then an ad will be served up for Central Lakes College, so that we're trying to, you know, person doesn't make a decision necessarily in choosing a college, you know, one-time shot of looking at our website. So this way we can keep on putting ads in front of them while they're out looking at anything on the web. So if it's a vertical site that one of our agencies has, it'll serve them up an ad because it detects that they had been on our CLC website in the past. Another promotional or digital promotional piece that we added, I believe it goes back to last spring also, was we started Pandora advertising. So online radio, Pandora has the biggest market share at this time. They say in our 7-county area that they have about a 65% penetration reach for 13 through 29-year-olds, which is a really, you can't get that kind of reach with hardly anything else that I could think of. So we got a really good reach in getting the word to that market that really, you really can't dip down far enough to get to that market. So I'm glad that we're picking up 13-year-olds and going up to 29, because that's really kind of been our main hub. This is a little piece I put in, but the main thing to take from that is during that, just the fourth quarter campaign, which was really just November and December, we had 759,000 impressions and over 4,000 click-throughs to our site and ads, or our site, so that it's really working and it's really getting people to the next step, getting people to the website, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And here is just kind of a way it looks, a screenshot like on a mobile device of an ad being served up on Pandora. If you like Pink Floyd, there you go. I talked a little bit about online verticals, and what an online vertical is again, with our corporate partners, our agency partners that are working on placing our ads, we try to find out sites that are going to be the best sites that people looking for education would go to, so that we get ads in front of those folks. So with this campaign, again, we have about 76,000 impressions, 1,000 engagements, and 38 site visits. An example I think I just added there this morning was if you go to a site like monster.com looking for jobs, and that would be a great market for us as people that are looking for jobs and maybe finding out that they don't have the proper training to get these jobs. If they're looking at monster.com, an ad may be served up then for Central Lakes College so that we're again getting ourselves in front of a lot of people. And this is just, this is where kind of some of the impressions, we get a lot of impressions out there, but this is kind of where the rubber meets the road. The page hits for this particular page. This is a page that we don't really put out publicly. It's like a landing page we created that's Central Lakes College success. And so it's a page that you really wouldn't find organically through a search. So it's really just a page that we set up for advertising purposes. So during this period of time from August to January, we got 4,238 hits on that particular page. And the only reason they're getting that page is through the digital advertising that we're doing so that we know it's coming through and it's working. Like I said before, we'll talk a little bit, we're only going to talk very little bit about traditional advertising today, but we'll be working through the new marketing committee and the strategic enrollment committee during the spring to kind of determine, the best strategies for traditional marketing and advertising. And with that, just want to mention really briefly about brand development. It's part of the CLC strategic plan and also part of the marketing strategic plan. But during spring semester, and this is an ongoing activity forever, we'll be trying to improve brand standards. We're increasing the campus branding by having a lot more CLC on the campuses. And one part of that is, if you notice, especially at the Brainerd campus, was the wayfinding program. Still got some pieces to put into that wayfinding program yet with department signs, but as you go around the campus, you can see our logo up all over the place and our branding colors, so we're going to continue more of that this spring. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Chris, because the website is also a part of the CLC strategic plan, and it's a main partner in what we're doing with our advertising, because the advertising is just the first step of building awareness, getting the communication out there, getting ourselves in front of as many people as possible. But then they're either coming into the college or in a lot of cases coming into our website. So we really have built some good things into the website in the last 6 months, and Chris will tell you a few things there.
Okay, I'm Chris Bremer. I work in the marketing department in web services. We rolled out our new website about June of last year, and that's the mobile website. It was a lot more responsive and good for tablets and mobile phones. The rollout itself went pretty good. We found out that the traffic picked up for our mobile users from about 8% or so to 25% of our web visitors now visit on a mobile phone or a tablet. Another thing that we've did was tested and incorporated Twitter feeds on the program pages. One of the examples is natural resources, marine and small engine, videography, and it's a way of connecting with your students directly through a Twitter feed that you control, and you can update that Twitter feed from your mobile phone. Natural resources can be out in the field tagging wolves or eagles or whatever they're doing, shoot a shot, upload it to their Twitter feed and have it show immediately on their program page. And so if you'd be interested in something like that for your program, please let me know. It's nice to connect with people one-on-one like that. It does take a nice constant flow of information and posts from you to keep parties interested, so keep that in mind. So that's kind of a new technology that we're working on there, and it's been going good. We're also forming a web advisory committee to give us input on the new direction that we're taking. One of the other things that we've done was add a new program listing page listed alphabetically, And this would be different from now. We list it via clusters or divisions, and now we have a link on our top of the page saying if you'd like to view it by category, please click here, and they can, or I'm sorry, not category, but A to Z, and then they can see that listing. We're revising our current program listing page, changing some of the names around to more make sense maybe to the outside user. One of the things that we're doing, we incorporated some of the back-end data we used to have on Catalog Navigator, and we have now put that all on your program pages under a series of toggle boxes, and we can maybe show that if we have time later. Some of our top visited pages, we run stats on our pages constantly, and we're also able through Google Analytics to view real-time traffic on our site. So if you log on, we can see, you know, where the user is going, what pages they're looking at, what search terms they have typed in to find that particular page. Some of our top visited pages are our academic program listings, the technology reference guide, Raiders Athletics main page, football, admissions, registration, college calendar, and performing arts. Those are our big heavy hitters for last fall. Lots of countries that visit us all over the world. Some of the top search terms were, like I said, we're able to track all the search terms, and we really have to keep in mind what we're advertising on our website is stuff that we understand in the Beltway, so to speak. And some of these search terms, they are very simplistic. They don't deal in the acronyms that we're so familiar with. So if you're writing for your web page, please keep in mind that you're writing for the outside user that has no idea of what we do inside. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jesse. Okay. Yep, we're going to spin through a couple websites here and show you some of these things firsthand that we've been doing. And this is our academic program listing page. And now if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the new link up here, View Academic Programs by Alphabetical Listing, right on top. And you click on that, and you go to our alphabetical listing page, which is now sortable actually by category. You can click on programs, you can sort by degrees, sort by campuses, or sort by divisions. So it gives the user plenty of choices to filter out what they're interested in. Very good, Ken. Okay, I think we'll take a look at the natural resources page. And we'll show you a little bit about the Twitter feed and some of the toggle boxes that we've put on the sides. There you go. Okay, this is a natural resources page. You can see on the right their Twitter feed has just been updated to view the Golden Eagle tracking. So that's kind of cool. We've got some nice bullet points that they filled out. And those are very important on the left-hand side. Scroll down. And here's the program information toggle boxes. Now these toggle boxes, the information that you're looking at right there currently was in Catalog Navigator, so you would have to go off to the Catalog Navigator site to find that information. A decision was made that we would want this on our actual program page, so the user didn't have to jump off to a Catalog Navigator. So what we did here, this is kind of a phase one of this, is to basically it's a cut and paste from Catalog Navigator into these toggle boxes. The correct and right efficient way to do this would be to draw this information from a database feed. MState is doing something similar. We did demo the MState program, and hopefully we can work a deal with them where we can use that database feed to draw in and pull information into these toggle boxes so that when a change is made on the back end, it'll automatically show up here. Go ahead. Sure. You bet. It says program course requirements, program planning forms, detailed program information, program outcomes, and transfer opportunities, if that gives you a better idea. So, and those are on every program page and have been up there for since the start of fall semester, I think is when we got them up. So the ideal ticket, like we said, is to get these filled out with the database feed. So when a change is made behind the scene, it automatically gets updated. So we'll see how that goes. I think that's about it for now. Yeah, we're also moving along with a calendaring project, and it's we don't have to show that now, Ken. And we're getting rid of our old calendar. It's not good for mobile and responsive environments. It you know cuts different aspects of it off when you're looking on the phone and stuff, and it's not good. So we're changing that over, and also we put up a new staff directory that is mobile the other day. Question, Mark? Well, you would type in into a search engine, I guess. Are you talking about specifically on a program page? Oh, okay. I'm not sure what we find when we type in final exam schedule. Maybe Ken could do that. Would you like to see that on every single program page? Would it be helpful, or just somewhere up front? Okay. Yeah. Student quick links. Help center. There it is, final exam schedule. So yeah, it's not a page, it's a PDF link from. I think we could probably find that, but that might be something to keep in mind to put that more up front, you know. Okay. There it would be under Student Help Center. So basically, exactly. So I think the right thing would be to make a page called Final Exam Questions or Final Exam Schedule, and then they would go to that page, find out some info. So maybe we can take note of that and build a page, because then it would pop up as a category under that search. So, and that's always been a tough one, that final exam schedule, is that, you know, where do you put that? So. Okay, I think we'll turn it over to Jesse.
Thank you. I probably don't need any introduction because you guys get emails from me all the time, every day, with the CLC and the news thing. But as much as I email you guys, I promise I email the media a whole lot more. But persistence pays off. I just want to give you an example. When Jeff had sent out the email about the indoor food production workshop, I forwarded that on to our area media, and Jeff got an awesome front page story out of that. It also ran in the St. Paul Pioneer Press. He did a radio interview, and it hit a lot of blogs. So it's just an example of the reach we can have with some of the stuff we're doing here, which is really exciting. Related to that, I know there's some confusion on what media really wants to hear and what they'll run. A lot of people don't think that what's going on in their classroom would warrant a press release. But in a lot of cases, pretty much anything does. Media is always looking for honors, awards, achievements by you and your students. So always keep an eye out for what your students are doing as well. They love hearing about students. Events you're hosting that community members can attend, like the holiday events that the graphic design department did here. Also, changes in the program, new equipment, new methods that you're using, new classes. They're also looking for good feature stories, profiles on students or alumni that are doing cool things. Keep in mind, they don't only want to hear from Brainerd area students and faculty. They want to hear about outlining members as well. A lot of our smaller newspapers and community is a little bit further away, they will only run our stuff if their students are, or if we're talking about students and faculty from their area. So always keep an eye out for students who aren't just from Brainerd and Baxter. They also want to see about volunteering or work out in the community. A good example was the MACE students and faculty who did the habitat build. We had social media posts on it, and we also had a huge front page photo on it too. So the community saw that as well. Best practices. A good way to get people into your classroom without them actually physically being here on campus is through social media and through photos. So basically, the easiest way to get your photos and what's happening in the classroom on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, shoot me an email, call me. I can stop by and take a photo. Otherwise, you or one of your students can get a photo and email that to me. If you do email it to me, just shoot me a sentence or two and explaining what's going on and who's in the photo as well. Things that people want to see. They want to see inside the classroom. They want to see the students. They want to see their sons, their daughters at work. They want to see instructors behind the scenes. They really like seeing their instructors being humanized. They want to. They don't want to just see them teaching. So. Question. Good question. If you take a photo of a student, do you have to have their permission? You don't have to have written consent, but when you take the photo, say, I'm taking this for social media, is that okay with you? Just get the verbal consent before you send it to me. Very good question. And then again, if you think it's interesting, someone else will too. I hear a lot that, I don't think it's that important, or I don't think anyone else is going to find it interesting. But if you find it interesting, someone else will. I promise you that. Here are some examples of posts on our Facebook page that hit really, really, really high views. Things that people like to see. This is the reaction from the football players as they found out they were going to Scottsdale. We hit 2,500 people. Basically, for perspective, any given post will hit a couple dozen people to a couple hundred. So hitting 2,500 people is amazing. They like to see people out in the community. This is President Lundblad at the Lutefisk feed. And again, it's just a simple photo, but it hit almost 1,000 people. Here, when Brandy, before she got married, her office mates put on a little, handmade veil and had her walk down the aisle and sang to her. This had 1,500 people and a lot of likes and a lot of comments, which was really cool to see people interacting and congratulating. This is what I was talking about with the humanizing. People like to see their instructors humanized. They're not just out there teaching. They want to see them when they're about to get married or anything else that's happening in their personal lives. This is at the Career Exploration Day. Our mascot fighting with a stormtrooper. People love this. Hit almost 700 people. This one, the Sunrise Rotoma Club donated to the Veterans Center. Why this one hit almost 1,000 people, the Sunrise Rotoma shared it on their page, on their Facebook page as well. So when we can include other communities, other community organizations in our posts, they share it and it hits more people. And here are the MACE students volunteering at the Habitat Build. Hit more than 1,000 people. It's just a simple video of them, like 10 seconds of them working, and a lot of likes and a lot of comments. This is the Day of the Dozers. Hit almost 900 people. People love to see alumni. So if you have an alumni in the classroom or here at the football game, this one hit almost 1,500 people. This is just student profile that hit almost 2,300 people, which is a lot. It had 22 shares, which is way more than we usually get. Welding student project. People love to see student projects. It doesn't have to be as artsy as welding. It can be, just a group photo inside your classroom. Even if it's, people love anything about diversity. This was the powwow. Had 2,600 people reached, 4 more than 2,000, most I've seen, and then 19 likes and a few comments. So anything about diversity, anything about what we have going on campus, people love. And then just a example of a department that's really post that I have about welding hits at least 1,000 viewers, and that's minimum, which is way above a lot of our other posts. And a couple doing it right. Welding, they email me, they send me photos all the time about simple stuff, and people love it. For that, besides me just posting it, both of the welding instructors and their wives go on and share it on their personal pages, and they like it. And that reaches more students, and that reaches more people. So yeah, it's them going on and sharing it, but that reach that they're getting is really helping. So I encourage you, if I post something about your program, or if you see something else you like, share it on your personal page. It increases the views a lot, as you can see by welding. And just an example, not every welding post is something crazy, some crazy video. They got a shipment of toolboxes and hit almost 1,500 people, had 34 likes and 5 comments. And this is just the photo. We had a video of, I think it was Dave who just scanned it, a 5-second video of him scanning the toolboxes. And we had students from other colleges saying, I wish this college did that too. I wish we got this at that college, and had a lot of shares. So something as simple as a toolbox will reach other colleges and other students. And then another welding post. This is just the students talking, or Dave in front of the class talking to his students about a blueprint reading class. And it had almost 1,400 people reached, 2 shares, and a lot of likes. So it can be you just standing in front of a classroom talking to your students. And if you go on and share it on your personal page, the reach can be ballooned. And then just some of the social media that we do. Facebook. I took a tally when I started here 10 months ago about how many followers we had. When I started, it was just over 1,900. Today, it's over 3,800. We're getting followers more and more every day on Facebook. It's always growing. You always have more people liking our Facebook page. As a lot of teenagers and grandparents, I'm seeing a lot of, when I post photos of students, I see a lot of moms, dads, and grandparents tagging their student on their photo and saying, oh, good job, good work in that class. And then the student will, in return, like the CLC page, which is good. It's easiest for getting the message we want to get across in the exact way we want. We're not limited like we are in Twitter with the character limits. And we're getting a lot of interaction with students and parents here. A lot of people commenting, sending messages. I'll reply back in a couple minutes. A lot of likes and a lot of shares. Twitter, when I started, it was 569. Today, it's 911 and growing, growing every week. It's mostly teenagers and business professionals. There's a high emphasis on tagging people and using hashtags on Twitter, which really helps spread our messages to people who don't follow us. So if we're using the right hashtags and taking the right community organizations or businesses, they'll get that notification, they can share it to their followers, and people who aren't following us can see our messages. So it's a really good way to get out our message. Again, if we tag Minskew, they have a lot more followers than we do, so they'll share it and we'll get our message across to other people who are interested in education. Instagram, I started about 7 months ago. We're up to about 200 followers now. It's a lot of teenagers to young adults. They're the more artsy photo shots, kind of behind the scenes. You can't get a whole lot of content word-wise across for messages, but it's really kind of reaching the student with what they're interested in. Instagram is really popular, so if we're using that medium, it really helps connect with the students and makes them feel connected to us, especially seeing the more behind-the-scenes shots. Speaking of connecting to students, we just started Snapchat, which that's if you go to our Facebook or Twitter page or Instagram page, our profile photo is the Snap code. So that's what that is. Started about 2 months ago. It's a lot of teens to young adults, and it's growing very fast. I'm finding that it's probably the fastest growing social media platform that we have. What it's used for, a lot of people don't know what Snapchat is. Basically, you can use it for two purposes. One purpose is to send photos to your followers. The photos can last for up to 10 seconds and they can have messages on them. We don't use it for that purpose. The purpose we use it for is called My Story. It's kind of like your Facebook profile, your Facebook page. You can post photos with messages on them, and those photos last for 24 hours, then they disappear. Your followers can take a screenshot of it and save that photo if they want to. Otherwise, it just disappears. So it can be kind of frustrating that all that work goes into something that's disappearing after 24 hours. But I'm finding that, again, it's really growing really, really fast. A lot of students are liking it, and it's a lot of the younger ones. And again, it's making them feel connected to us because we're using a medium that they're using. This is an example of kind of a unique photo you can do on Snapchat. It doesn't have to be all normal, boring photos. We can draw on it. And this photo I took on Snapchat and drew a little person on the last day of finals. I took a screenshot of it and put it on our Facebook and on our Twitter pages, and people loved it. So, and then we got some people taking screenshots of this on Snapchat too. So you can have fun with it. And the students really like when you have fun with it. That's a good question. So if you have an event going on Saturday or any other day after hours, if it's just something that kind of popped up and you didn't have any notice, there's a lot of things you can do. You can either, if you have a Twitter like you do, you can tweet it out and then tag CLC so I can get a notification and then I can share it. Or if you don't know how to tag CLC and you want to post it on Twitter or Facebook, you can post it and then just email me and then I can go there and share it. Or you can email it to me. And then I can post it through the CLC page. Some people text it to me, so if you prefer that, let me know. Those are the ways. Yeah. Nope, but when you do tweet it to me, in past times where you have tweeted and tagged CLC, I will save that photo and then put it onto our Facebook page. So I do that. Yep. It's a good question.
At CLC.
Yep. On Twitter, you just do the.
Automatically gets redone on your.
It's not automatic, but I get a notification right away, then I will go and retweet it right away.
What was the hashtag? What was the, you said hashtag what?
Well, on Twitter, it's at CLCMNEDU. You can find that if you go to Twitter on CLC's page, right under our profile, you'll see at CLCMNEDU. And then on Facebook, you can tag CLC, but it's a little confusing because there's a ghost Wikipedia page. It's a white profile photo with CLC's logo. We don't operate that, and it's really the first one to come up when you try to tag CLC on Facebook. So if you're tagging CLC on Facebook, make sure it's our correct profile. Otherwise, I won't get a notification and I can't share it. So it's probably just easier to email me when you post on Facebook and want me to share it. Did you have another question? I thought you raised your hand. Anyone else? Okay.
Both Jesse and Chris do a really good job in staying current with what they're doing with a responsive website, and Jesse with social media. This is something that we did a survey when we had the high school career event earlier this fall. Primarily the group, that we had a really pretty good sample size of almost 170, but primarily they were almost all 9th and 10th graders. So why I show you this is you could just see what Jesse was talking about with Snapchat has now become for that age group the biggest social media that they're actually using right now, which we had heard, so that we try to get on top of those things and get out there in that social media. But the thing that really jumped out to me was, if you notice at the top, Facebook, because in some cases we hear that Facebook is for old people that are in their 20s, maybe 30s. We hear that nobody younger than 18 is using Facebook anymore, but Facebook still has over a 70% clip for 9th and 10th graders. So at least in this market, it's very strong yet, so that we continue with the Facebook presence. We don't have much time for that, so I'll let you read it fast and then I'll move on. The topic of what we're really talking about in everything today is spreading the word. I'm going to be talking about these rather quickly because I know the next subject coming up is what we want to spend a bit of time on. So things to help spread the word this spring, though. The Meet Your Destiny event that we did on December 12th ended up being really good event in my eyes. We didn't know if we'd have like 12 people showing up to that thing. It was planned pretty quickly, and we had a pretty tight timeline to promote it. We ended up having over 200 people here, and I think somewhere around 70 to 80 people actually check in as prospective students. So it turned out really well. We're going to be doing another one of those this spring, and we really want to engage everybody, get your students to bring family, friends, show them the college, because I think that'd be really powerful in a word of mouth, getting the word out. So you're going to hear a lot more about that this spring. Another thing that we'll be doing this spring is be having kind of a grand reopening for the Staples campus. Haven't picked a date out yet for that. Be working with a large committee probably to get that done. But we had some challenges at the Staples campus with having a campus that was really torn apart and having students trying to visit at that time. It's kind of a tough sell when the campus, you have to go outside a building to get to another building. So I mean, what we want to do now is we had that challenging time. Now that we have a good time coming up where we got a beautiful facility to show, we want to make sure we get as many people into that facility as possible. Bridges is coming up, and I think we're having a Bridges sponsored lunch today, so that's coming up. But as far as CLC is concerned, that's an event where we have 2,500 students coming to the campus, and we just need to really put our best foot forward in putting on a great show for that day and making sure that we're connecting with those students. And another new event that, and by the way, Meet Your Destiny. Andrus was really the spearhead behind that, and he probably will be too for Bring a Friend to Campus Day. That's another event that we want to do this spring, and again, really try to work with the programs in getting students to maybe bring a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, maybe to campus, to see what your program's all about. And again, you'll be hearing a lot more about that as spring goes on. And put on the bottom, this is something that Larry brought up, I think, at the fall duty day, but CLC evangelism. All the tools that we have, whether it's a website, whether it's online advertising, whether especially social media, I mean, those are tools, but we all need to help spread the word. And we got tools for you to plug into, and we're trying to make more tools available for you all the time. But we all, need to get out there and really spread the good news of Central Lakes College, because we got a lot of great things going on, and you heard a lot about those things in the last couple days. Okay, so probably the big ticket item here today. Well, these are other program. These will be very big ticket items, but these are going to be other promotional initiatives, which I probably got to have a conversation with Larry about getting some more money, because we got a lot of stuff popping. But the 2-year college occupational grant program initiative, I think we're getting something like $205,000, so that a student in theory could go into an occupational program absolutely tuition free. After they get their Pell Grant federal money, the rest of the grant will pick that up. So truly they could have free tuition for going into an occupational program. There's going to be a lot more coming up in the very near future, because we think that is going to launch during the month of January. So we'll be getting the word out in a big way on that. Plus, the Department of Higher Ed will be promoting that really heavily to the high schools. And there's a whole bunch of grant initiatives. We got a really cool dental grant coming in for something like $45,000 a year. And other grant initiatives that we'll also be working on and promoting this spring. And we're also going to have the return of the CLC magazine, so we'll be working on that, hopefully with a published date in February, and that'll be going out to the broader region for Central Lakes College. Okay, and now the big item that you're probably here for. You had to wait through 45 minutes to get to this, maybe. What we're going to be talking about here is, you know, we've for years struggled with whether we're promoting the institution, just promoting CLC, the quality of CLC, innovation of CLC, value of CLC, whether we're promoting ourselves as an institution or whether we promote ourselves, you know, through our programs. And so a new initiative this spring that kind of was born from the program priority process that has been going on, I think, since summer. That's kind of where this is, and then we're going to launch this and kind of get your opinion today. Most of this stuff is in draft form yet, but we really want to hit the ground running in January. So at the end of our session here, we're going to ask for some input from you. I got a questionnaire for you to fill out to really get some quick and dirty information from you to see if we're in the right track, but I'll briefly explain this to you. If you could see, then you got better eyesight than I do, what we have to promote here at Central Lakes College. But these are our programs. We have anything from our 113 programs to promote, to athletics, to cultural events. We have a lot of things going on at CLC. So the program matrix for CLC is quite extensive. And so we're trying to come up with a way, how do we get, especially in programs and degrees, how do we get a better way that we can actually promote those, because that's what you want to do. You want to get the word out for your program, your classes. So the idea is to, on the website I've always kind of aligned our programs in different divisions, and so this is another way we're kind of formalizing that. So as you can see the divisions here, the thought would be to really put out the promotion in these 10 different career educational promotional areas, from liberal arts and sciences as one, and then all our career programs, kind of 2 through 10. There again, this is just a draft, so if you don't see your program up here, we'll get one for you. And this is just a draft as far as the visual on this, just to get an idea about how this would work. Because sometimes if we're talking about promoting a subject area like manufacturing or promoting something like business, well, still, how does that help my program? But what the plan would be, that we would definitely be name dropping and having the program, you know, listings included in this, so that we don't lose sight of what your programs actually are, that they would be included. Again, this is just a rough visual I put together rather quickly to show you, and I got a couple of those just to see how that would work. So there again, as we put out the visuals in online digital advertising, we'd make sure we include the programs that make up that particular area. Some are and some aren't. Some are stock. We've always preferred, I mean, and again, this is just like some visuals that we just did pretty much for this presentation. So we always prefer to use real students. And that, we'll be talking a little bit more about, again, the new committee we'll be setting up, but the new marketing committee, what we want to arrange that by is by having a representative from each of those 10 areas, and that kind of work with those representatives to put these together. We're going to try to meet with the clusters as much as we can to get input, because a lot of this is the marketing for manufacturing is going to be different for the marketing and promotion for healthcare. So the verticals, when I talked earlier about vertical websites, now the people have different interest fields for maybe transportation than they do for healthcare. So that's the kind of information we need from you. I mean, who are your students? What are they interested in? What kind of websites do they go to? You know, maybe in IT, those students really like gaming, and so we try to put those ads in gaming sites. So I mean, we're going to need to touch base with pretty much all of you so that we can get that input from you. And again, what we'd want to do then is really not just have this be an isolated like promotional campaign. It would be done, you know, really involved in all of our advertising, that we really try to make sure that as we're advertising these, we can put the 10 areas out there and try to get to those audiences that are interested in those career areas. And also publications, we'll set up our publications like that so that we have those pieces in those publications. The website, as Chris mentioned, we're doing a directory page, a nice alpha page, a nice search page, but we'll also be putting together 10 new pages around these areas because, again, as we link the advertising to the college, we need that kind of door to come through. So if we do a manufacturing ad out there that is somebody finds through a Google search, and an ad is served to them, now where do they go to? We just don't want to have them go to the front page of our website if they're looking at manufacturing. So now we need a manufacturing hub for them to come into. So we'd be building the manufacturing hub, the health hub, the environmental ag hub, and so on and so forth, so that they have a place to come in our door and see more about that discipline that they're interested in. And also with social media, we'd want to align, you know, maybe if we're doing a welding story, we talk about manufacturing in a broader way, and we kind of shape those messages to keep these 10 areas out there in front of the public so that they really can get standardized in the eye of the public. And in public relations, of course, too, if we're doing media releases, that we, again, may say that we have, you know, practical nursing as part of our health careers array. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but and I think I do have some time for questions. Well, we have a lot of time for questions, but what I'm going to do now is if Chris and Jesse want to hand out that questionnaire, and I will take questions while you're filling out that questionnaire. But really, it's for faculty, really liberal ed faculty, program career faculty. It's kind of to get some really quick information from you so that we can hit the ground running as fast as we can in January. It's going to take a long time to try to meet with all the clusters individually, but this way at least we can get out there and start and kind of keep building the program as time goes on. Any questions about anything today? And you can fire questions away while you're filling that out. If you need pens, I also brought extra pens. Oh, Becca. Okay, Becca has a good question, and that's going to be on the questionnaire. We know that all programs aren't the same. I mean, we have some programs that probably have a really good local draw, but I know I've heard from programs that want to get into different areas of the state. The beauty with digital and online advertising, we can do that a lot quicker and a lot more in an affordable manner. So if somebody they think that a hotbed for their students is in the Duluth area, that's something that we can then talk about, because if we're promoting that cluster and you think your students are going to be in a different geographical area than maybe just a 30-mile radius, then we can help you achieve that. And I know there's been programs that, you know, they're literally outstate. They may have a good draw. If we need to do that, that's something we'll certainly entertain. If you're down in southwest Minnesota, that's a good hub for your students. We can actually get some advertising down there. Teresa.
Justice advertisement on the big screen. I mean, I didn't know it was out, and it was fabulous. So whoever did that, amazing. That is one way to definitely get the age group a large number at the same time. It was really good.
And movie theater advertising comes up a lot, and that's one of the conversations we'll have this spring. As we're talking about impressions, billboards come up, the movie screen advertising comes up, some of the impressions I showed you today in online advertising. That's some conversations that we should have. In just looking at, like, let's say billboard advertising on 371 and Highway 10, you're looking at something like between 40 to 160,000 impressions a month for billboard advertising on those highways. We're getting a lot more impressions online, because you think of how many times people are hitting online for anything rather than jumping in a car. We're going to get a lot more impressions online, but there is a reason to do those kind of advertising media also. So that's a conversation that I would like to open up when we talk about traditional media this spring. Way in the back, Mark.
Gone any farther with like your new information on getting marketing through social media or through websites by doing searches specifically for taglines that are program related? Like if a student goes in from somewhere other in the state and clicks in, starts typing in media programs, video programs, and that our program might come up.
That's a good question. Mark's question is, I think if I am reading that right, it's if you just do a organic Google search, are pages being presented to them, or are we coming up in an organic search? Through what we had done with putting a lot of our page content in Decision Academic, it kind of knocked us down for a period of time, because that stuff wasn't really, and if I'm speaking out of turn here, let me know, Chris, or giving out bad information, yeah. But through the database, a lot of that information wasn't easily found through Google, so I think it kind of knocked back our pages for a while. Now that we got that content back on static pages, we'll start growing those searches, that if it's on a page, and that's why when we write page information, you want to name drop. I mean, some of it's making sure you get the right information for students for what they need to know about your program, but the other thing is name dropping as many things that you can in your descriptions that you think students would be using to search, because if, you know, in a Google search, if those words are found on pages, then those pages will come up at a higher rate. Good question. Patrick.
What's our marketing capability for very focused marketing for low enrollment programs and or individual courses? Do we have that kind of turnaround capability to look at the enrollment numbers and say, we really got to try to get more students into this program or in these particular classes?
Outside of, let's say, this plan. So outside of this plan, let's say there's programs, courses that just really need some extra help. That's not being addressed necessarily in this. I think it's going to help through this. That would maybe be another conversation that if we want, that's something that we've had a hard time with for years. If the program is down in numbers this year, do we just look at 3, 4, 5 programs to put money into? And really, I feel that we need to be in it for the long run, that those short-term campaigns really, we're dealing with a new crop of students that come out of high school every single year. So things that we do, we need to really look at, long-term and build long-term strength in our program numbers. To say that wouldn't be something viable to do, I think that's the kind of the pieces that are on the table this spring that we have to have administrative conversations with to see if there'd be extra money that we'd put into any other programs or programs that had really low numbers.
I'm talking for like a short time period, end of July until we close registration, first week of classes.
And are you really talking programs or classes?
We get numbers of where our programs and courses should be for enrollment. When they're not filling up, that historic trend then gets looked at to make a decision as to what we keep and what we get rid of. And then in the short term, we look at individual classes and say, oh, well, here it is July 20th and we only have 5 students, so we're going to cut the course. We're going to drop it. Is there anything we can do marketing-wise to prevent that? Or not prevent it. I don't know if it'll be preventative. You know what I mean? To be focused marketing, say, in some way. Here's a particular class. Has a lot of seats available in it. here's the merits of that class, so the attractiveness of it, in an attempt to boost enrollment in Excel, or, MagnaSense, program. Because all of our marketing is a long arc, right?
Right.
And our schedule and all of our processes are long arcs that we're trying to go through over a period of time. And then faculty is going to these prioritization meetings being given a long arc look, except sometimes it gets narrowed to one semester or 1 year. Here's what happened in the last year or 2 years. Is there anything we can do, marketing-wise, to shorten that arc look so that
I would say yes. I think if it was determined as a college that we do that, and some.
it's not this long arc of advertising.
Right.
At college and at program.
But Patrick's question, yeah, short-term, kind of a short-term ad bump for either classes or programs that need numbers. Since you brought up social media, we've done some of that, and so I think any of that helps. But we haven't done a lot of that now that we've entered the arena of digital and online advertising. So before it gets, really expensive to, let's say you got one class that you want to promote. I mean, we have 113 programs at Central Lakes College, and then multiply that. What do we have? A course index of like 800 or 900 classes. So we got a lot of products on the shelf. So it was almost impossible to spend the kind of money what you're talking about. Let's say we're going to run a 2-week radio ad campaign for a particular class. We just don't have that kind of money to do that. Now maybe with digital online advertising, if we put in the keywords to promote that, or even do some button ads and so forth for that, you can do it at a lot better price point. And I could say, we haven't really tried that before, but it may be worth a try just to see what the numbers show us. And if it doesn't really have, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, then at least we've done that. Did that answer your question, or still? That I think some of that will be again part of the marketing committee. We have a limited amount of resources, and we just have to figure out the best way to spend those limited resources. And so judgment calls, always need to be made. Julie.
Once we get a student to our CLC page, they can click on a transferology button on there to determine what courses will transfer here. And up comes a list of MNSCU schools. And I think there's a huge opportunity that we haven't been addressing, or we've been starting to talk about more, the importance of putting in more time into the programming side so we come up higher on the top or at the top, because there's a lot of classes we take and transfer that we build into ours. But it's not an automatic dump, from all MNSCU schools. And I think once we land them on our page, I think it's very important that we put in the time to get all of that data in there so we look favorable.
And I don't know a whole lot about that, so any expertise in that may help.
It's just kind of the tail end. This is so awesome what we're doing. Once we get them there, we need to tell them, yeah, we will take a lot of your credits and transfer. And if we come down low on the list or off the bottom of the page, they're not going to scroll down and find it.
I'll probably need to, you'll have to show me what you're referring to so I get a better understanding for that. Leon. Can we do some alias? So Leon's question was, if you're promoting your program or promoting a special event or something, and it's a web page that has a long address, we can do alias addresses so that it'll redirect to your page, and you can have something that's a lot cleaner and shorter. Anything else? Oh, back there. That's a good question. That's Sam, right? When we have a new program, I think your question then is, what do we do to get the information up on a page? That kind of goes with what Chris was saying, that we would like to get a better system so this is a lot more streamlined than it has been. And we've had some challenges as we had picked out a program to really manage all of our academic information, Decision Academic, and now we're looking like we're going to be steering away from that. And that, I believe Chris had mentioned, and I think Larry had mentioned too, about M-State's academic management system. The thing that I really loved about their academic management system was it's a system, so that everything went into that academic system, and it's in a database, and that database then comes out to us, and we put it, then it's automatically up on the web pages. And so just the systematic nature of what M-State was doing with their all their academic content and how it displays on the website, that was all systems based. We feel like we've been kind of patching stuff together and taking some things. Chris is taking stuff out of Decision Academic now and putting it into the website manually. And we really would like to get away from that and have it really, the academic content be run by academics, so that when you put that information in and all that stuff is done up front to get a new program online, as soon as then our academic chief hits the button, boom, it's on the website, and we don't have to interfere with the academic process then. All the stuff and all the key components are already put in the system, and they are on the website when the program's approved and ready for the public. So hopefully we can move on that sooner than later. Talking to Andrus, we hadn't come up with a date for the Meet Your Destiny 2, but it will probably, we're looking at, when you start looking at the spring calendar, we'll probably be looking at either the very end of March or early April, because we've got to stand clear and stay clear of the Bridges event, and then we also have a spring break happening in there, and then we'd need some time to retool, after that. So it'd be either probably the last Saturday of March or the first, and I'm not sure where all Easter lands in some of this too, but maybe the first week or the first Saturday in April. Don't count on that, but that's just the conversations we had. And as far as like a grand opening date for the re-grand opening for Staples, that would also probably be once we get through the tough Minnesota winter and get to some spring weather, because you don't want to have a big event that you plan for and you have to cancel it because of a snowstorm. Any other questions today? And if you have anything, or we put kind of starter items on that sheet. If you want to go off the questions I have and just ask anything else, feel free to do that too. But I'd really like if you could leave those with me today, because we really do want to start and hit the ground running on this promotion. And if you have any other questions, feel free to always stop by my office, give me a call, drop me an email. Be happy to talk to you. Anything else for the good of the order? Thank you very much. You're a great audience.
Thank you, Ken, Chris, and Jesse. We are going to need to do a reset of the room. I think they're going to set us up for lunch, and that will be at noon. And Paul Primesberger will be leading us in that time. So we have about 15 minutes. We'll let the folks take care of us and get us ready and set for lunch. So see you shortly.
what do we do about that?
A judgment call needs to be made to say, because I mean, the thing is, I got faculty that will come out and say, you gotta promote my class.
Right.
It's like, I usually don't promote classes because
I'm wondering if we do a social media blast in. It says, we got out to students that said, if you were thinking of taking this class and you haven't enrolled